Alright, we're not even going to, like, do anything. We're just gonna have at it, alright? We're just literally going to have at it. Because you guys, like, in the grim darkness of the 40k, there's, like, only unpainted minis and, like, gray shame. Like, unpainted minis and, like, gray shame. Because they talk like this to, like, make it seem like they don't care. But, like, they actually do. We've probably put way too much water on my palette. Anyways, let's have at it, let's have at it! 3, 2, 1! Hapang! Alright. Really? 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 Hold on. Really? Hold on. Really? Really? Because I am doing my best right now. Okay, I am, like, doing my best right now. I hope you comprehend. There we go. Are we back? Yeah! Okay. Mina, Yokozo. Alright, class, settle down and let me tell you a story. Oh, this has to happen, alright? What's going on tonight has to happen for the simple reason that this group of guys have been, like, on my docket. Have been on my painting docket since January, alright? Because I refuse to believe that, I am painting my stuff, like, this slow. And that I've had this group of guys since January. It's like a literal singular unit that I haven't painted since January, and they are right here. If you'd notice, they're like ginger, or like, they're orange or red hair, for the simple reason that I keep going back to that scene in Game of Thrones. I remember it well because the scene was all about Sir Alistair Thorne, the cruel master at arms, the one who trained Jon Snow, the one who literally gave Jon Snow the nickname Lord Snow. It's like his thing was that he was being cruel. He was petty. He was miserable. He was cruel. And so, like, he made everyone else feel his misery. Hold on, can you guys, like, actually hear me? Because I've had trouble before. But yeah, it's off, right? It's off. I made sure it was off. Anyways. He was cruel, he was miserable, and I remember that joke that, after Jon Snow got voted in as Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, there was the scene the next time that they were handing out orders moving forward after the elections, and Alistair Thorne was so afraid that Jon Snow was going to humiliate him, and because the issue at hand during the issue that they were discussing was that they needed someone in charge of digging the latrines, and Sir Alistair Thorne was, like, so worried that Jon Snow was going to put him in for that job in order to humiliate him, but no. Jon Snow called up on one of his friends, I forgot his name, Gren or something, but anyways, one of his friends, and said, "Blank, sounds like a perfect job for a ginger." And it was funny. And they all laughed at it. It was funny. So I made sure, like, for excuse me, it's like for every Sith unit that we have, I make sure to at least, if possible, I make sure to include one ginger. Just because of that scene. So anyways, for tonight we have what's the name of this? The life as an Arbites patrolman. Alright, because our last story before was basically the life of the life of a Hive World Street vendor. And it was good. The story was good. So this time, I wonder what it's like being a cop, because check this out, right? I have like a ton of I have like a ton of books, a ton of audio from actual books to audio books with regards to 40 Warhammer of both fantasy and 40K. It's just that uh I am honestly not interested in the standard stories because in the standard stories, like for example, in the Horus Heresy franchise, it was all a Horus Heresy franchise. Uh, it was all about the Space Marine. It was all about the Space Marines, right? Space Marines. I'm not interested. Right? I am not interested in learning the hardships and issues of a demi-human supported with all the wealth of the Empyrean, covered in ceramite and all the technology of the most advanced technology of its time. Cry me a river. No, I want the stories of John and Jane Doe trying to survive the horrors provided by the Imperium. I'm interested in their stories. So here's the thing. Last time it was like a street vendor, and for tonight we have like what is the name of this title? What is the title of this? Hold on. The title of this particular story that like we're going to listen to. Sorry, that the Californian accent. Like they're trying to provide that they don't care. Oh, by the way, second episode of Saga of Tanya the Evil is like up. Now. Huh. Mm, no. Huh. Huh. Wait, what is it? No. Wait, what's the name? Oh yeah. Life on Patrol for the Adeptus Arbites of the Hive. Warhammer 40K. Alright, so that's her story. And again, you guys, like it if you do. And subscribe. The love of the Emperor knows we actually need it. And here we go. Wait, have we optimized the volume? There we go. Let's optimize the volume.
Another transmission from the dark.
Tales from
Brother
the
from the
Void.
Void speaking, and this is Tales from the Void. Tonight, we're walking the beat in Hive Kalitos with the Adeptus Arbites, where a quiet morning is the kind of...
So, walking the beat, yeah, we are talking about the patrolman here, like you're the most basic police officer. But then again, can a member of the Adeptus Arbitus be considered like to be considered to be a normal human being? But hold on, there we go.
myth people tell children to get them to stop crying. Our narrator is Arbitrator Solomon Soldovan, armored, exhausted, and painfully used to the idea that someone, somewhere, always wants him dead before breakfast. You'll get gunfire in the gantries, filth in the alleys, and the kind of justice that comes with a sealed helmet and zero patience. And when the Hive starts whispering about bodies and symbols and things that don't fit the usual rot, well, let's just say the day's about to get longer. All right, visor down, safety off.
Safety's off.
Let's begin.
A good day on patrol is when you only face death 6 times before lunch. By that standard, today is already looking exceptional.
Nice.
The first bullet of the morning whistles past my helmet just as I step off the armored transport. It shatters the air, not that there's much quiet in a Hive city at dawn, and smacks into a rusted pillar behind me. I don't even flinch, just let out a sigh inside my rebreather mask. It's barely dawn, or what passes for dawn in Hive Kalitos, and someone's already trying to kill me. So much for a quiet start.
Hey guys, like, can you name like a better sound than this? Can you actually hear it? Like, so sorry. The agitator inside like the bottle. For now, the only thing left in this particular unit are the corrections, and apart from the corrections, the hilt and the pommel And for that one, we are going with gold because you know what? This is supposed to be a Night's Watch veteran, but as you can see, the only thing black about this particular one is his cloak. For the simple reason that I find dredging my units in all black to be boring. The red was inspired by British line infantry and Napoleonic era line infantry. Because I was watching the Patriot when I started before I started painting, and here we are. Right. So yeah, British line infantry red, black cloak. Just to identify them as what you call it, na Night's Watch, because it's my minis. I can paint them whenever I want.
Remember making an offhand joke to Kovic during gear check this morning.
Gear check.
Maybe today will be slow. He just snorted, and as usual, he was right. Welcome to my world. Contact upper gantry. I Vox speed calmly to my partner as I draw my shotgun. The gun's weight is as familiar as the weight of duty on my shoulders.
Shotties.
We've done this dance 1,000 times. This is life on patrol for the Adeptus Arbites. Somewhere up in the tangle of metal catwalks above, a would-be killer is probably cursing that he missed his shot. He won't get a second. My boots clank on dented plasteel as I move behind a stack of concrete traffic bollards for cover. A second shot rings out, sparking off the ground near my feet. The muzzle flash betrays the sniper's perch. A crumbling balcony on a hab block 10 meters up, half hidden by smoky gloom and the flicker of failing neon signs. Amateur. Beside me, Arbitrator Kovic has already unslung his own combat shotgun. Through the corner of my visor display, I see him take position without a word. 20 years my...
Does a pro mean he's going to hit the target? Amateur, he missed because he's an amateur. Does that mean if they were face up against the pro, automatic hit? Anyways.
My senior, grizzled and steady. Kovic's been doing this since before I was whelped from the Scola. He's muttering a curse about morning scum as he flicks off his safety. I allow myself...
So, Adeptus Arbites, your basic patrolman still comes from the Schola Progenium. I always thought they were like, they just, they were simply recruited within the world, or within the near world or something. Because here's the thing, right? Historically speaking, since speaking of the Napoleonic era, there was the Walloon Guards, the Spanish Walloon Guards, and their thing was that they were recruited from everywhere except Spain. In other words, they simply couldn't speak Spanish. The reason for that they were recruited off country, and the reason that they couldn't speak the same language is so just in case of a rebellion, they wouldn't be sympathetic to the rebels, or they wouldn't be sympathetic to the local population. So I guess at this point, I was always under the impression that Adeptus Arbites, or these the local patrol officers, that's definitely not an inquisitor level. I always thought that they were just recruited off world or something, and then they were trained definitely, but they didn't go through the entire process of the Scholar Progenium. But anyways,
a tight grin behind my respirator. Even at this hour, he's as predictable as a prayer at matins. We coordinate with a few quick hand gestures. No sirens, no shouted warnings. In the Underhive, noise attracts more trouble. Instead, we move like predators. The air tastes of burning promethium and rotten sump water as I inhale through the mask filters. A dull red glow filters down from the smog-stained lumen strips overhead, casting everything in perpetual pre-dawn twilight. I skirt left, Kovic goes right. The plan is simple: flush the shooter out or flank him. My black carapace armor scrapes against a graffiti-tagged railing as I ascend a narrow maintenance stair toward the gantry. Above, I hear scuffling footsteps. Our friend is on the move, probably realizing he picked the wrong targets on this fine morning. I toss a flashbang up there to stun him, but we're trying not to wake the whole district just yet. Instead, I pump a shell into the shotgun's chamber, a solid slug, Armor piercing. Arbitrators don't do warning shots. Suddenly,
Armor-piercing slugs. Interesting!
a ragged figure bursts from a maintenance hatch 2 levels up. He leaps to an adjacent scaffold, trying to
Why was
flee
he targeting
across a gap
Arbites people?
between gantries. Bold but clumsy. In the dim, flickering light, I catch a glimpse. A gaunt young man in filthy work overalls, a makeshift bandana over his
Amateur.
face, clutching a long hunting rifle. Likely some under-hive drudge with more desperation than sense. Or just someone tired of living who thinks taking a pot shot at an Arbite will earn him a quick martyrdom. Either way, not smart. I plant my feet, exhale slowly, and squeeze the trigger. Boom! The shotgun bucks into my shoulder, and the slug tears through the air. It catches the runner in the leg mid-leap. There's a shriek as he tumbles, arms pinwheeling. His body smashes into a bundle of hanging electrical cables, rebounds, then crashes straight through a sheet of corrugated metal roofing before disappearing from view. A half-second later, I hear a wet thud in the alley below. Suspect
Dead.
down, I report dryly
fell
over
down.
the Vox. My heart rate didn't even spike. The armor's
Wait, if this was the Arbites, dying is definitely better than actually getting interrogated. Dying is better.
auto systems confirm that with an amused green icon on my visor display. I've stopped noticing those readouts. In the Hive, fear becomes background noise, just like the constant machine hum and distant screams. Kovic's voice crackles in my ear. Moving in to secure. Always efficient, that one. I make my way back down, boots ringing on the iron steps, and meet him at the base of the alley. The smell down here is ripe, a noxious cocktail of leaked lube oil, human waste, and decay from piles of uncollected trash. With a wet crunch, I realize I've stepped in what's left of the shooter's right leg. He lies twisted among garbage, whimpering, a pool of dark blood spreading beneath him. Miraculously, he's alive. Barely. The fall broke most of him, and my slug took off his leg below the knee. He's shrieking something, half-coherent pleas or curses. It's hard to tell.
Both. Why not
My
both?
auto senses dial back the volume, sparing me the worst of the noise. Kovic stands over the prone figure, the older arbitrator's shotgun still leveled. Our black armor and long dark coats make us look like specters in the gloom. The perp's eyes, one swollen shut, the other wide with terror, dart between us. He's younger than I expected, little more than a scrawny teen. Emperor, save me. A kid trying to play outlaw sniper. Please, he gasps, a weak gurgling sound as he reaches a trembling hand toward us. The stub rifle lies bent a meter away. He must have lost his grip when he fell. He's unarmed now, just bleeding out and afraid. A coppery tang fills the alley from all that blood. I exchange a glance with Kovic. For a half-second, neither of us moves. There's a decision to make here. The law is clear. Attempted murder of an agent of the Lex Imperialis is a capital offense. By the book, we should execute him on the spot. A bullet to the head, case closed. No paperwork beyond a brief entry in the log. On the other hand, this wretch is as good as dead anyway. His leg is gone, and if left here, infection or the Hive's scavengers will finish what the fall didn't. He'll die in agony over hours. The kid's still babbling, tears cutting clean lines through the grime on his cheeks. I catch fragments of his wailing. Only way, had to try, hungry. Of course, maybe he tried to shoot us for a few ration bars in our packs. Or just because life down here finally...
That's stupid. Ration bar. That doesn't make any sense for the simple reason that you're gonna try to take down the most fully armored creatures in the jungle because you were hungry. Doesn't make any sense, but most of these stories always grow to something bigger.
Drove him to suicide by cop. Who knows? Kovic's voice comes through my earpiece, low and gravelly. End it
Not a
or
bad
leave
way to go,
him.
though.
His finger is on the trigger, awaiting my call. As the junior partner, technically I should defer to him, but he asks anyway. That's years of trust, right there. I sigh, considering. By the letter of imperial law, the sentence is death. Summary judgment, 1 round to the head, then on to breakfast. The
Breakfast it
Emperor's
is.
law has no mercy for those who raise a hand against his judges. Yet I also know that in this pestilent back alley, no one will bother to collect the corpse if we walk away. The rats will feast and the kid will die slow, scared, and alone. The result is the same either way, I
Just
tell
end it.
myself.
Don't be cruel.
One outcome is just slower and crueler.
No need to be cruel.
Emperor's mercy, I murmur. It's both a curse and a command. We were taught in the Schola Progenium that real mercy in the Imperium
Again, always thought they were just recruited off world. I never thought they actually went to the Schola Progenium.
means a quick death rather than prolonged agony. By that definition, what I'm about to do is a mercy indeed. I step forward, placing the heavy boot of justice, well, my actual boot, on the young man's remaining leg to pin him. He howls a thin, desperate wail. I don't enjoy this, but I won't flinch from it either. By order of the Adeptus Arbites and the Lex Imperialis, I intone, voice amplified and echoing harshly in the narrow alley. Judgment is rendered. Sentence, death. The kid is still sobbing when Kovic's shotgun roars. A red mist sprays the alley wall. The body falls limp. The screaming stops. A few scavenger birds nesting in the rafters above take flight at the noise, cawing as they wheel away. And just like that, it's over. One more soul dispatched in the Emperor's name before breakfast. Some days I wonder how many such executions it takes to keep the Hive in line. Hundreds, thousands. But I push those thoughts away. The tally is not mine to question. I just enforce the sentence. I lift my boot off the corpse and step back. My armor's
What exactly are they expected to do from this point?
auto systems already flush the gore from my greaves with a quick spritz of sanctified solvent. The sharp smell of chem cleaner momentarily overpowers the alley's stink. I glance at Kovic. Through his visor, I can't see his expression, but I know him well enough to guess it. The tight grimace of a man who just swatted a particularly annoying insect. No more, no less. Target eliminated. He speaks into the Vox, for the record. Arbitrator Kovic and Arbitrator Soldevan, continuing Patrol Route 17. Soldevan. That's me. I sometimes forget to introduce myself in these recollections, don't I? Arbitrator Solomon
Don't blame him.
Soldevan of the Adeptus Arbites, at your service. Judge, jury, and, when needed, executioner. My partner Kovic and I have been walking the beat in Hive Kalitos for years now. And if this little incident is any indication, today is going to be another long, bloody day in the life of the law.
Yeah.
Kovic pumps his shotgun to eject the spent shell, then nods toward the mouth of the alley. We should get moving. Sector's waking up. He's right. Already I can hear the distant rumble of machinery coming to life, the clatter of massive conveyor lifts carrying workers to their morning shifts. Somewhere far above us, an automated servitor loudspeaker crackles to life, blaring a distorted litany about duty and productivity. The Hive's morning catechism, reminding everyone that, yes, they're still slaves in this lovely tower of despair. I take a last look at the body sprawled in the trash. It's crumpled amid the garbage heaps, already indistinguishable from the filth. We leave it without ceremony. Sanitation, or what passes for it down here, might find him eventually and shovel him into a recycler. Or not. Either way, we have bigger concerns. Walking out of that alley, we emerge into a wider thoroughfare. It's more of a crack between looming habstacks than a real street, really. Above us, countless bridges, cables, and pipes form a tangled web, blocking out most of the sky. Not that you'd see blue if you could look up, just the toxic yellow haze that eternally cloaks Hive Kalitos. Now that the shift change is starting, the thoroughfare is stirring with life, if you can call these shambling figures alive. The hab workers
Probably not.
shuffle out of their coffin apartments, heads down, shoulders hunched. Emaciated, gray-skinned, each one wearing the color-coded jumpsuit of whatever manufactory or guild they toil for. A flood of human misery drips down from the upper hive levels to pool in these streets every morning. Kovic and I stride through them, towering in our black Arbites armor. The crowd splits around us instinctively. Most avoid even glancing our way. A few shoot furtive, resentful looks when they think we're not paying attention. We are the Emperor's enforcers.
Yeah.
To the Hab peasants, that makes us either saviors or devils. Usually both. One
Both.
gaunt woman in a threadbare administratum smock clutches a small child to her chest as we pass, as if our mere presence means violence will erupt.
Yeah.
Smart lady. Violence follows us like a shadow, and it's best to keep your distance. My visor
Smart.
display scrolls data as I survey the area. Ambient crime probability, 87%. Major threats, none immediate. A semi-helpful cogitator algorithm
Anyone here in professional law enforcement? What in God's name is ambient crime probability?
in our armor tries to predict the unpredictable. Useless for the most part, as if an arbitrator's menacing walk-by isn't already deterrent enough to most petty crooks. We turn onto Avenue Primus, a grand name for what is basically a moderately wider passage illuminated by flickering lumen strips and neon hollow signs for fungus beer and corpse starch rations. Here, a few market stalls are setting up for the day's trade. Haggard vendors hawk recycled junk, fungal meal cakes, and bootleg elho sticks, some probably laced with obscura. Noted. I'll have to send a patrol that
Sorry, again, Nick, I've had these guys on my docket for like the past, whatchamacallit, since like January and stuff. And the thing is, I haven't, oh yeah, we forgot something. Hold on. Oh yeah, yeah. It's like, I haven't like, had them, the, like, they've been on the docket since, January, right? Docket since January. So the thing is, since they've been on the docket since like January, they've been on the docket since January. I don't know. It's like one of the reasons why I haven't whatchamacallit, invested yet in what was that? Bolt action. For the simple reason that just imagine if I needed to whatchamacallit, assemble these guys. It's never gonna end for me. It's never gonna end for me. It's like it's gonna take me years or something. Wait, what happened there? No. Hold on. This has to happen. I'm sorry. Like, management told me to do this. Uh, mm, okay. There we go. Huh? Mm. Oh hey, the film Washington is out. Always I might try to check that one out this week. Okay. That should do it.
That way later.
Go.
The smell of cheap grease, sweat, and burnt hive fungus wafts through the air, trying its best to overpower the ever-present chemical undertone. A cluster of ragged children scampers by, chasing a two-headed sump rat that squeals in their grubby hands. They freeze when they see us, then scatter like spooked birds. Only one
What
boy
are they gonna
lingers
do?
for half a second, just at the edge of my vision. I catch him staring up at us with huge,
Heresy!
sunken eyes. I can't tell
Staring
if
is
it's awe
heresy!
or hatred. Before I can react or say a word, he bolts into a crevice between halves and is gone.
Staring
I
is
shake my
heresy.
head and continue on. Save your pity, I remind myself. This is how it has always been in the Hive. Billions live and die in these stacked hellholes, and it's not my job to save them, just to keep them in line. I wasn't always this numb.
Like, going back, I like it. Just because it's like, imagine if I had to like assemble these guys, I would never be playing. And thankfully our council does not require us. Our council does not require it doesn't require the 3-layer rule. Unlike in 40k where there must be the minis on the table, at least most tournaments, the minis on the tables require whatchamacallit, that the mini must have at least 3 layers of paint in order to be viable for play. I mean, thankfully we don't, or I'd never actually play.
As a green recruit fresh out of the Scola Progenium, I remember feeling overwhelmed by the misery around me. That changed the day I hesitated to put down a knife-wielding agitator. He gutted one of my squad mates before I finally pulled the trigger. I still remember that day with perfect clarity.
It was his
It was
fault.
my first cycle on active patrol in a sump market, not unlike this one. We cornered a thief, just a scrawny kid, maybe 13
Spawn.
standard, eyes wild with fear. He had a rusty shiv. I thought I could talk him down, so I held my fire for a heartbeat. That heartbeat cost Arbitrator Rees her life. The boy lunged faster than I anticipated, slashing her throat open before either of us could react.
His fault
I
then.
can still see the arterial spray across the alley wall, hear Rees's wet gurgle as she went down, clawing at her neck.
Definitely
In my
his
shock
fault.
and rage, I emptied my entire magazine into that kid, tearing him apart. By the time I stumbled to Raiza's side, she was gone, dead with a look of disbelief frozen in her eyes. I learned then and there, in this job, hesitation kills. Mercy is a myth we can't afford, so I buried those softer feelings deep, long ago. We press on through the waking hive. People leap aside to avoid even the possibility of brushing our armored shoulders. I feel the weight of 1,000 eyes on my back. Some stare in fear, others in quiet malice. I can almost
I like
smell the
that. I love that
resentment in
line.
the air.
I love that line. Stare in quiet malice.
It smells like a sewer, though to be fair, everything smells like a sewer down here. We pass a mural on a cracked plascrete wall, a faded depiction of the God Emperor, haloed and stern, holding massive scales of justice. Someone has scrawled graffiti under it in dripping red paint. Where is he? Followed by an extremely
Heresy!
unflattering obscenity about the divine emperor. Charming, some under Hiver with more courage than sense. Kovic notices it too, his posture
I mean, you get desperate enough. What's the point?
stiffening. He growls under his breath, should flog whoever did that. I couldn't agree more. A little public flogging would remind people that sacrilege has consequences. He doesn't break stride, though. Vandalism of imperial iconography, technically a crime punishable by servitor conversion, or worse. But again, priorities. If we stopped for every heretical scrawl, we'd never get anywhere. Ah, Precinct Fortress 27, our next stop, and my personal slice of holy ground, sarcasm fully intended. Up ahead looms the familiar bulk of our Arbites stronghold, jutting between hab-block towers like a black fang in a jaw of rotten teeth. Its stark rock-crete walls are adorned with hanging banners of the Imperial Aquila. Heavy bolter turrets track every approach from their battlements. At the gate, two hulking arbitrators in full riot gear stand guard, shotguns at the ready, as a line of shackled detainees is marched inside under watchful optics. Home sweet home, or at least the closest thing to a home for creatures like us. Cold stone and steel it may be, but I feel more at ease inside these austere walls than I ever could outside among.
I mean, I could imagine, like, everything outside the wall wants you dead. So, yeah, inside these walls are, like, the best part of your day.
The Hive's teeming masses. We cross the adamantium drawbridge over a moat of spiked barricades and molten slag.
They have that much adamantium for doors? I mean, they could barely, like, get enough for Wolverine and his bones.
Pits. Yes, we have those. Wonderful for discouraging would-be attackers. Cherub servitors with grinning cherubic faces flutter above the entry.
So that's what they were called, the babies in Space Marine 2.
Scanning our armor's ident codes and chiming in approval as they verify us. With a groan of gears, the massive ceramite doors grind open. Before stepping in, I take one look back at the waking Hive city behind us. For a moment, the din and stench fade to a dull hum, and I see the place for what it is. A festering anthill of humanity, stretching endless into smog and shadow. Towers of habs and manufactoria rise and merge until they pierce the toxic cloud layer far above, though no natural sky shines here. Each spire is a world unto itself, the base swarming with the gutter-born, the mid-levels grinding with ceaseless industry, the apex sealed away for perfumed nobility. Hive Kalitos is ancient, built on the bones of hives before it, layer upon layer for millennia. Surrounding the city lie the ash wastes, toxic deserts of industrial runoff and ash. Not that most inhabitants have ever glimpsed the outside world or the sun beyond.
Probably not.
They live and die entombed in this metal hive. The hive likely holds tens of billions of souls, packed in filth and squalor, beside pockets of decadent splendor. Lives that, if left unchecked, would devour one another in an orgy of chaos and desperation. It's happened on other worlds, whole hive cities erupting into revolt and dragging their planets into ruin.
On the next one, Hive versus Hive combat, by the way.
Not on my watch, not while I stand. I clench a fist, feeling the scar tissue on my knuckles pull tight under the glove. Some days that oath to keep this sinking hive afloat just a little longer in the sea of madness is the only thing that keeps me going. Sol, you coming? Kovic's voice snaps me back. He's already passed through the gate, holding it for me. I nod once at the hellscape beyond and mutter, "The Emperor protects." Maybe it's a prayer. Maybe it's a warning. Then I step inside the fortress as the great door thunders shut behind us, sealing the hive's chaos outside, for now. Inside, the precinct is all harsh white light and chilled recycled air. Filtered, purified, almost clean compared to outside.
Almost.
My visor adjusts to the brightness of lumen globes humming overhead. Skull-faced servitors glide past carrying data slates. A few junior arbitrators snap to attention as we pass, saluting. I give them a curt nod. I probably look like hell, boots caked in alley muck, a drying smear of blood across the aquila on my chest plate from that execution earlier. Nothing they haven't seen before. We clear a security checkpoint, more for show than anything. If someone unauthorized made it this far, Alarms
They
would already
deserve
be
it.
blaring. A scanner cherub flutters around us, verifying we're not bringing in any unsanctioned weapons or contraband. Everything we carry is very much sanctioned, of course. Beyond that is the central hall, where a colossal steel aquila dominates the far wall behind the duty officer's station. Rows of holding cells line one side. I hear moans and occasional screams from within, evidence that interrogations are in full swing. Music to my ears. A heavy clank of metal claws on floor panels draws my eye. A cyber mastiff unit lopes past, a half canine, half machine hound, guided by its arbitrator handler. The cyber mastiff's augmetic snout
Cyber
sniffs the
mastiff.
air, detecting the scent of
Love it.
fear and blood from the cells, and it lets out a low, synthesized growl. Just another morning at the courthouse. We approach the duty desk where adjunct adept Keeler, an administratum toady with a cogitator implant over one eye and the personality of a lobotomized servitor, presides over piles of paperwork. He's glaring at a stack of forms as we stride up. Without even looking up, he nasalizes, "Report, arbitrators." Kovic steps forward and slaps down a data slate with our early patrol log. Patrol Route 17 initial sweep complete. Incidents: 1 attempted assault on officers, suspect deceased. 1 assault on magistratum enforcers, suspects remanded to local custody. No arbitrator injuries or significant developments. He recites it briskly, like he's reading off a shopping list. I let him handle the formalities. Writing reports bores me to tears, and he's far better at it. Keeler snatches up the slate, his bionic eye whirring as it scrolls through the text. "Very well," he sighs. "Units Theta 4 and Theta 7 have already gone out. You're to join up with Theta 4 for a second phase sweep in Sector 43B.
When?
Kovic and I exchange a quick look. Sector 43B, that's deeper in the lower Hive, near the sump recycling plants. A lovely place where the air is practically chewy, and the locals make our friends up Hive look like noblemen. Why
Air
are 2
is
patrol
chewy.
units needed there this morning? Specific reason for doubling up in 43B, I ask, trying, with limited success, to keep the annoyance out of my voice. Keeler sniffs, flicking to another slate for details. Multiple homicides reported overnight at Tertius Landing Hab Block. Magistratum request Arbites' presence due to possible unusual circumstances.
Really now?
He adjusts his wire-rimmed spectacles and quotes from the report in a monotone. Victims exhibited signs of ritualistic mutilation. Authorities suspect cult activity.
Ah!
That
There we
last
go.
part gets my full attention. Ritualistic mutilation. Suspected cult involvement. Now that is worth postponing breakfast for.
Really?
Finally, some action. Kovic
Breakfast?
mutters beside me.
Hungry.
I can hear the grim anticipation in his gravelly voice. He lives to bust cultists. Can't blame him. Keeler drones on. Theta 4 is en route to secure the scene. Your orders are to assist, investigate, and if it is cult activity... He pauses, letting a
Eliminate.
hint of distaste creep in. Eliminate the
There
threat.
we go, see?
Standard procedure. Identify if it's just a crazy
I mean,
underhive serial
what?
killer or an
What else do you expect, Earth? Other than the swift elimination.
actual heretical cult. If the latter, rooted out with extreme prejudice.
Extreme prejudice.
I nod sharply. Understood. Arbitrators Soldivin and Kovic proceeding to Sector 43B now. He waves a hand dismissively. Emperor guide you, he recites by rote, already focused on some cogitator readout. We turn to go, but he calls my name once more. Soldevan? I stop and pivot back. He's one of the few in here who use my full name. Must be something official. Yes?
Yeah?
Keeler's organic eye finally meets mine. Judge Rorik will want a full debrief if this turns out to be a cult. You find something significant,
Oh, there's a
report
judge.
directly to him.
I mean, they're beat cops
I
after
raise
all.
an eyebrow. Judge Rorik is the precinct high judge.
Hmm.
He doesn't involve himself in field cases unless they have wider implications. A suspected cult definitely qualifies. We
Uh-huh.
will, I assure him. With that, Kovic and I stride out of the hall toward the vehicle bay to gear up. As we walk, I flex my gloved hands, eager and a little uneasy at once. Cult activity in Hive Kalitos. It's been a couple months since the last major bust. I recall that one vividly. We broke up a chaos cult posing as a workers' union. Nasty fight.
Hmm.
I've still got burn scars on my forearms from a witch's firebolt, and Kovic nearly lost an eye to a gutter shank grenade.
What does a Witcher's firebolt look like? And wait, in a science fiction perspective. But anyways,
Good times. If something new is brewing, we need to snuff it out fast. Left unchecked, a cult in a hive is like a virus in a void ship. It spreads, corrupts, and eventually consumes everything. And then you're left with nothing but a dead hulk full of horrors. Not on my watch. In the armory, we trade our standard patrol kit for heavier equipment. By late morning cycle, we've assembled a strike team of 8 arbitrators, including Kovic and myself, plus a couple of cyber mastiffs and 2 repressor APCs for transport. We arm up with the works. Combat shotguns loaded with executioner rounds, good for when perps try to hide behind cover. Shock mauls and suppression shields for close quarters. A flamethrower unit, because sometimes cleansing fire is the Emperor's own remedy. Shock grenades, and one of the lads, Brand from Theta 4, hefts a belt-fed heavy stubber in case things get really spicy. We're not playing around. In the briefing chamber, Judge Rorik himself addresses our assembled team. A towering man with a cybernetic jaw and 1 bionic eye, the flesh one lost in some riot decades past, Rorik paces in front of us like a caged lion. I will make this clear, he growls. This cult, these children of the new dawn, will not be allowed to take root in Hive.
very human, no? Children of the New Dawn. That's what they call themselves.
Kalitos. You are authorized and expected to use deadly force to exterminate them. If any high-level conspirators are found, capture if possible for interrogation, but do not risk yourselves unnecessarily to take prisoners. The Emperor needs living weapons, not dead heroes. We all thump
Amen.
our breastplates in salute. For the law and the Emperor, we respond in unison. He also adds, intelligence suggests this New Dawn creed matches known heretic cult activity, likely chaos worship. Archives record a similar New Dawn rebellion on Hydrafor decades ago. It cost many lives to purge. Be on guard for witchcraft or worse. We exchange
worse?
grim looks. We all remember the last time a cult witch hit an Arbites squad with warp fire. Scars some of us still carry. This time we've come prepared. Before we depart, the precinct chaplain, a scarred veteran arbitrator turned cleric, moves down the line of us. In one bionic hand, he carries a censer of burning incense. With the other, he uses ash from a sanctified brazier to mark each of our helmets with the sign of the Aquila. Walk in the Emperor's light and deliver his judgment, he
Or we will
intones
drag.
softly. We answer in deep-voiced unison. His will, our hands. The brief ritual steadies my heart. We load up. 2 vehicles. I drive the lead repressor. Kovic rides up front in the calm seat.
That's the name of the vehicle, Repressor.
The others pile into the transports or cling to the side running boards. Weapons mag-locked but ready. The APC engines growl to life. Machine spirits awakened with a litany of ignition. The bay doors crank open, flooding the interior with the hive's hazy light. We roll out, sirens off for now, but lights flashing, forging ahead toward Sector 43B. Workers and citizens scatter from our path like roaches before a torch. A few sluggish hab crawlers and rust bucket transports swerve aside as our armored column barrels down the main transit causeway. I don't slow. We have urgency now. Inside our vehicle, Kovic and I ready ourselves in silence. I see him out of the corner of my eye, checking and rechecking his gear, tightening the strap on his combat shotgun, patting each of his grenade pouches in order. I catch his lips moving, perhaps murmuring a battle prayer or simply counting under his breath. His face is set in that familiar iron scowl of focus. He seems deep in thought, and not the eager kind. Usually, he'd crack a dry joke about the heretics wetting themselves knowing we're coming. The silence pricks at me, so I attempt to break it. We'll nip this cult in the bud. Another day, another heresy crushed, I say, trying to sound confident. Sure, Kovic mutters after a moment, not even looking up from loading incendiary shells into his bandolier. The single word is flat, lacking his usual fire. An awkward quiet falls again. It's not like him to be this withdrawn on the eve of a fight, but there's no time to probe it now. Our repressor speeds through the arterial tunnels of the middle hive, lights flashing red against the steel walls. I weave around lumbering cargo haulers and clusters of on-foot laborers, blasting the horn to clear our path. As we race deeper, I thumb through the initial incident report on a data slate. 4
I thought he was
victims,
driving.
all low-level Hive workers from Sump Station 9, a waste processing plant. Bodies found at Tertius Landing Transit Junction in Sector 43B by a morning sanitation crew. Throats slit, chests cut open. Entrails arranged in some kind of pattern. Local enforcers responded and immediately flagged it as possible cult activity, which is why we got the call. I share the summary with Kovic over our helmet comm.
No
He mutters
breakfast
a
yet?
curse. Sounds like a cult, all right, or a rogue psyker with a flair for the dramatic. Either way, it's our jurisdiction now, I reply. I downshift as we
I'm a
spiral.
little bit like, concerned that they're going out without breakfast and stuff. The promise of 3 square meals a day and everything. Because at the very least, we're going out with some K rations or something. Oh, not K rations, it's so World War II. Some corpse starch rations or something. Because why?
Down a massive ramp to a lower level. The architecture around us grows more claustrophobic and older with every level we pass. We drive through vast support columns built centuries ago, crusted with decay. I spot ferrocrete blocks stamped with construction dates from millennia past. The hive literally built upon the bones of its former selves. With each layer abandoned and entombed below, the city's bowels have become a graveyard of past ages. I flick on our APC's Auspex array. The filtered air in the cabin grows staler as more pollutants seep in. My suit's rebreather hisses as it increases filtration. Piping and cable conduits snake along the tunnel walls like corroded arteries. Faded warning signs in high Gothic and low cant flash by. Authorized personnel only beyond Underhive. We breach that unofficial border without a second thought, plunging into the depths. How many cults does that make this year? I muse aloud as we roar over a rickety bridge spanning a river of sludge far below. Kovic snorts. Officially or unofficially? Officially, this would be the 3rd confirmed. Unofficially, he trails off. We both know the truth. Unofficially, there are dozens of suspected minor cults we stomp out before they get this far. But 1 in 10 manages to slip through long enough to kill someone, like today. Hive's a powder keg, I mutter. All it takes is a spark. And some warp-crazed bastard with a book of heresy to light the fuse, Kovic finishes. It's an old refrain between us. We've seen it too often. We ride in silence for a minute, save for the rumble of our engine and wail of our horn as it echoes down the tunnel. My eyes flick to the small shrine on our repressor's dash, a tiny ivory aquila fixed there, and I send a quick, silent plea to the God Emperor for steadiness. You know, Kovic breaks the silence, if it is a cult, might link to that gang nest we cracked last month. Those punks had weird symbols scrawled on their den walls. Could have been nothing, or part of something bigger. I grunt. I remember that raid. A minor job, some upstart chem dealers hoarding stolen lass packs. We chalked the odd markings up to under Hive superstition. Maybe we were wrong. Could be,
Ooh, they
I
missed
say.
something.
If so, maybe we'll finally see the whole picture. He doesn't reply. Perhaps neither of us wants to voice the possibility that a full-blown chaos cult's been festering under our noses. As we descend further, the tunnels narrow and grow damper. Overhead, pipes drip foul-smelling condensate onto our armor and windshield, leaving greasy streaks. The repressor's headlights cut through swirling banks of chemical fog. We must be near a sump evaporation zone. A trio of emaciated figures suddenly darts out of a side passage ahead, right into our path. I slam the horn and swerve. The repressor's massive tires screech on the metal decking. For an instant, the trio is caught in our headlights. Under Hive locals, a man and two women hauling filthy sacks on their backs. Their eyes widen as our armored behemoth bears down. They press themselves against the tunnel wall, and I thunder past, missing them by a meter. In the rear-view display, I see them sprint away into a duct, alive and lucky. Damn fools, I mutter. Underhivers sometimes wander into transit corridors without a thought. It rarely ends well. Then again, part of me doesn't blame them. One of those women looked like she had no ears, probably cropped off by some gang as punishment. Common down here. We're close, Kovic announces, tapping his HUD map. Junction 56C should be just around the bend. Sure enough, the tunnel widens into a larger access corridor. The blue flash of magistratum lights strobes up ahead. I ease off the throttle, the siren winding down, and bring our repressor to a halt behind a couple of battered enforcer patrol vans. Showtime, I say, more to myself than anyone, as we power down.
One-liners better.
We both double-check our weapons. I see Kovic chamber a round in his shotgun and prime a shock grenade at his belt. My own shotgun is loaded and ready. I slide my visor fully down, HUD icons glowing green for all systems. Whatever awaits us in that square, we're going to hit it hard and fast. Just another day on patrol. We step out of the repressor's steel confines, and the sight and smell hit me immediately. We're in what looks like a small plaza at a transit junction, probably a market square by day. Right now, it's a crime scene. Shabby stalls and vendor carts, now abandoned, litter the periphery. At the center, a cracked fountain gurgles out brownish chemical-laced water that might once have been potable. The plaza is a mess of refuse and neglect. Collapsed awnings, rusted barrels, graffiti on every wall. Flickering glow globes on dangling wires cast erratic shadows through the haze. The air reeks of chemical waste from a nearby sump, a stench that overpowers even the coppery tang of blood. Even the vermin down here, bloated sump rats and fluttering hive bats, keep their distance from the glowing toxic puddles in the corners. Under the harsh white floodlights the enforcers set up, I can see the bodies now. There are 4 of them, laid out side by side on the greasy ground in front of the fountain. Adult men, all wearing the brown coveralls of waste plant workers. And Emperor's tears. What a grisly sight. Their throats have been slit ear to ear. Their chests have been cut open, rib cages splayed. Someone has taken the time to pull out their intestines and arrange them in
Interesting.
looping symbols around each corpse. Blood is everywhere, dark and congealing, crisscrossed by smeared footprints. I recognize one symbol drawn in entrails. It looks like an 8-pointed star. Classic. Magistratum enforcers, the local Hive police, have cordoned off the area with flickering lumen tape. A handful of them linger around, looking uneasy and out of their depth. They're keeping rubberneckers at bay. A few clusters of ragged onlookers peer from behind corners and doorways, whispering among themselves. I see one enforcer officer vomiting in a gutter. Another makes the sign of the Aquila across his chest as we approach. Arbitrator Brand, a burly fellow from Theta 4 with a scar across his nose, steps toward us, helmet off. He's built like an ogrin and currently looks as grim as the corpse beside him. I notice some spatter of blood on his boots. Likely he was first on scene. He raises a hand in greeting. Soldavan Kovic, good to see you. It's a real mess here. Brief us, I reply briskly, stepping into the ring of light and death. The smell of butchered meat is assaulting even through my helmet filters. Brand grimaces and leads us closer to the bodies. Multiple homicides sometime during the last cycle. Locals reported screaming around mid-sleep shift. Magistratum responded first. When they saw this, he gestures at the gore. They wisely called us. We arrived a half hour ago and secured the site. Perps long gone, unfortunately. I crouch by one of the victims, careful not to step in the blood loops. The poor bastard's expression is frozen in horror. His hands are bound with barbed wire. There are deep cuts where he tried to struggle. Emperor. The gore is bad enough, but I also notice something odd. His eyes have been gouged out, and in their place, 2 shiny metal coins have been inserted into the sockets. One of the coins slips as I tilt the head slightly. Standard Imperial throne gelt by the looks of it. I gently pry open another victim's fist. Rigor mortis has set in. Inside his clenched hand is a tuft of cloth. Dark blue fabric may be torn from an assailant's clothes. I bag it in a specimen pouch on my belt. We'll get this to the Verispex techs later, I say aloud. I glance up at the enforcers milling about on the perimeter. None of them meet my gaze. They all look spooked. Did any of you notice these coins in the eye sockets? I call to no one in particular. One magistratum sergeant shuffles forward. We, didn't touch anything, sir. Saw the coins, but...
Which is literally the correct procedure, by the way. Wait for forensics. And, forensics meaning these guys.
But left them in place. Look like standard throne gelt to me. Not sure if it means anything. He sounds bewildered. Cult killings are above his pay grade.
Yes, it is.
Good, I nod. You were right to leave everything.
There we go, correct.
I survey the area. Any witnesses? I heard someone reported screaming. Brand shakes his head. If there were, they're keeping their heads down. None of these fine citizens want to volunteer information. He snorts.
Especially
Can't blame them. Inform on a cult in the Underhive. You're apt to end up just like these poor sods. My older partner's voice crackles in my ear. Sol, come look at this. Kovic is standing by the fountain, shining his gauntlet lamp at its base. I rise and step over. There, scrawled in blood on the cracked plinth of the fountain, are words, "Thus to tyrants," in High Gothic. And beneath that, an angular symbol that's...
Is that what's being said? Sic Semper Tyrannis? I forgot what was the name? American history. Name of Lincoln's assassin. Abraham Lincoln's assassin. Sic Semper Tyrannis. As to all tyrants.
Half smeared by footprints. It looks like it might have been a stylized sun or eye before someone stepped in it. Thus to tyrants, I read aloud, tasting the implication. Classic phrase used by rebels throughout history.
There we go.
Sic semper tyrannis, thus always to tyrants. The message is clear enough. They could be trying to say this is what happens to tyrants, Kovic suggests, voice low. Maybe referring to the governor or nobles? Maybe, I
The God
reply,
Emperor.
frowning behind my visor. Or it's a general threat to imperial authority, which would include us. Brand joins us, wiping sweat from his brow. We've had seditious graffiti like that pop up in this area the past few weeks. Thought it was just malcontents blowing off steam.
Probably.
Now, not so sure. I nod slowly, scanning the perimeter again. Something about this feels orchestrated. 4 random nobodies butchered to send a message? Or were they targeted specifically? IDs on the victims? I asked. Brand checks his slate. All 4 worked at Sump Station 9, the waste recycling plant down canyon. Menial laborers, shift workers. By all accounts, nobodies. No obvious connection between them besides workplace and the way they died. Murdered as symbols, not for who they were, but what they represented, perhaps.
Probably.
The phrase lowest to the highest from that cultist's ramblings flickers in my memory. Maybe these victims were chosen because they're common workers. Killing them sends a message to the millions of others like them. No one is
Beware.
safe. Rise up. Or they might have simply been convenient sacrifices for whatever dark ritual
Probably
the
convenient
killers were performing.
sacrifices.
A thought strikes me. Were they sacrificed for a ritual? The entrails symbol, the coins over eyes, paying the toll to
It's quite normal for police to just, pick up the most convenient of suspects.
cross to the afterlife? The slogan in blood. It all screams cult initiation or summoning rite. Emperor forbid. I scan around the fountain and notice numerous footprints in the sticky blood. Multiple sets, at least 3 distinct tread patterns, maybe more. They lead away toward a maintenance tunnel on the far side of the square. I nod toward that direction. How did the perpetrators leave? Brand
did
gestures
they?
to a circular hatch in the wall marked with yellow hazard stripes. It's slightly ajar, a few bloody handprints
Ajar.
visible on its rim. Enforcers found that maintenance hatch open. Blood trail led that way into the old conduit tunnels. We didn't pursue. By the time
Why
we
should they?
arrived, it was hours after the fact. I grit my teeth under my helm. Missed them by a mile, then. They're long gone, likely laying low until tonight's big event, the meeting. Let's check that hatch, I say. Kovic and I move toward the indicated tunnel. We draw our sidearms. I've switched to my auto pistol for tighter quarters and toggle our helmet lamps. The rusted hatch door creaks as we pull it open wider and slip inside, leaving Brand and the others to guard the scene and keep any curious locals out. Beyond the hatch, a narrow maintenance passage slopes downward. Thick grime coats the walls. Our boots leave fresh prints in decades of accumulated dust and sludge on the floor, alongside smears of red from whoever fled this way. We proceed cautiously, weapons raised. If someone's dumb enough to linger, we'll be ready. The passage winds about 50 meters and opens into a disused subtunnel, probably an old cargo route under the habs. Faint lumen strips glow on the ceiling, half burnt out. The air is damp and smells of mold and old machine oil. Graffiti covers the curved metal walls here too, but not the usual gang signs or lewd drawings. These are blasphemous symbols scrawled in dried blood, crude 8-pointed stars, slashes that might be runes, obscenities against the throne. My skin crawls at the sight. They weren't even trying to hide their allegiance down here. Damn, Kovic mutters, voice tinny in my earpiece. They're not even subtle. I raise a fist, pausing.
I mean, they literally left dead bodies out in the scene. Not exactly what I'd call subtle.
little further down, the tunnel branches. Our lamps catch dark stains leading to the left fork. Bloody footprints, heading deeper. Left, I whisper. He nods, shotgun ready. We move in near silence, save for the clank of our boots. My hearts are thudding steadily. Yes, I swear you can feel both hearts pounding on days like this.
Mm-hmm.
The thrill of the hunt is coiling in my gut. Part excitement, part grim resolve. We creep along the left-hand tunnel. After a short distance, I hear something echoing softly ahead. A voice? I hold up a hand for Kovic to stop. We both listen. Yes, faint and distorted by the tunnel acoustics, but unmistakable. Someone chanting. A low, guttural voice speaking a language that makes my teeth ache to hear. It's coming from just beyond a
It's
half-open
always that toothache. It's always that toothache. It hurts the eyes. It hurts the teeth.
bulkhead
Stuff like
door up
that.
ahead, a sliver of flickering light peeking out. I signal Kovic, one hostile, possibly a lone cultist mid-ritual. He nods, visor gleaming. This could be it. Maybe we've stumbled on one of them performing a rite, or a straggler left to guard something. Could be bait, could be a lone fanatic. Either way, it's not tea time in there. I gently ease up to the rusted door and peer through the gap. Inside is a small, disused maintenance chapel, one of those little emperor shrines that dot even the underhive. Only now it's been defiled thoroughly. The Aquila icon that would have hung above the altar lies torn down on the floor. The walls are covered in blasphemous markings painted in dried blood. Pentagrams, profane sigils, obscene sketches. A dozen melted tallow candles flicker on the floor, giving off a greasy purple smoke that mixes with incense from a smoldering brazier of bones? Great. At the center, a lone figure kneels before a makeshift altar, an overturned plasteel crate draped in what might be a once imperial cloth, now defaced with chaotic scrawls. On it lies a heavy tome bound in flaking skin and a small crystalline idol that glows faintly. I'll assume it's warp-touched. The figure is hooded and swaying, whispering an incantation in that foul tongue. It's an older woman, I think. Long, matted gray hair obscures her face, which is etched with self-carved symbols and scars. Her eyes gleam fever-bright in the candlelight, pupils mere pinpricks. As she sways, I catch sight of her bared teeth. She's filed them into
We
sharp
found
points.
one.
Lovely. One
Lovely.
cultist, apparently mid-prayer to the dark guts, could be a straggler or someone preparing the way for the rest. Either way,
Mid-prayer.
we have the drop on her. I exchange a quick hand signal with Kovic. Breach and takedown, non-lethal if possible.
Ah.
He primes a shock grenade in case she resists. I ready my shock maul in one hand, auto pistol in the other. On a silent count of
Takedown.
3, I slam the door open, and we rush in. Freeze! Adeptus Arbites! I bark. My voice
Really? Really? They shout out warnings. There's this old game. SWAT 1234, police stories, police files. The spiritual successor is Ready or Not, if I'm not mistaken. But I've never actually played that game. But the thing is, before you actually do anything violent, you are just like any police officer. You are required to actually shout out a warning.
amplified to a roar by my helmet vox. The hooded cultist spins around with a feral snarl. It's definitely a
Feral
woman.
snarl.
Her face lined and contorted with hate, eyes widened in wild fury. She hisses at us, revealing those filed teeth, and scrambles back onto the altar crate. In her gnarled hands, suddenly, is a stubby revolver that was hidden under her robes. She fires, crack, crack, 2 shots in our direction. One slug pings off my left shoulder plate, the other smacks into Kovic's chest armor and ricochets away. No penetration. Our carapace can stop pop
That's a
gun
fact.
rounds like those all day. Before she can fire a third time, Kovic puts a bolt pistol round clean through her left knee. The explosive bolt shell detonates with a whoomp, practically severing her leg. She collapses with a wail, dropping the pistol. In 2 strides, I'm on her, kicking the revolver away and driving her down to the floor. She shrieks, flailing surprisingly strong limbs in defiance. Her nails rake at my shin armor uselessly. I slam my knee onto her chest to pin her scrawny frame and grab her arms, restraining them behind her back. Emperor, she's remarkably strong for such a withered crone, thrashing like a fish on a line, nearly throwing me off once. Easy now.
I'm just a bit, whatchamacallit, sometimes I'm just a bit like, I wonder, like, how would you know that reference, like a fish on a line? Have you ever been fishing? Do they take like Scolaprogenium pupils out for like fishing trips or something? How would we know that?
I growl, tightening my grip until I hear her shoulder joint pop. She howls curses in a mix of low Gothic and something more foul. Doesn't matter. You're done, I hiss, pressing her face into the dusty floor. Kovic looms over us, Bolter still trained on her in case she somehow slips free. He surveys the room quickly for any other threats. Charming lady, he remarks dryly. The old heretic is still spitting and cursing up at me. Something about the false emperor and a coming dawn. I ignore it. Cover me! I'll search her, I say. Kovic nods and keeps his weapon ready. Maintaining pressure on her with one knee, I pat down her ratty robes with my free hand. Around her neck, I find a pendant on a crude chain. I yank it off. It's a little amulet of a rising sun motif, cheap tin or copper. 8 stylized rays protrude, probably their cult symbol, a disguised chaos star. I pocket it for evidence. Inside her robes, I find a mess of crumpled pamphlets and papers. I pull one out, a hand-printed flyer with low Gothic text. It reads, "Brothers and sisters, the new dawn comes. Cast off your chains and rise up." It goes on in that vein, rambling about throwing down tyrants, rising from the lowest to highest. At the bottom, there are crude directions, a map of some tunnels, and a time for a gathering. It looks like tonight at a place called St. Ophelia's Sump Chapel, Lower Hive. Jackpot. Looks like our cult is openly recruiting and planning a meeting soon, likely the one our friend here was on about. I hold the pamphlet where Kovic can see it. Children of the New Dawn, I read the name scrawled atop the sheet. Sound familiar? He shakes his head, keeping one eye and his bolter on the subdued cultist. Nope, but it sounds none too friendly. I flip through a couple more of the pamphlets. They all carry the same message. One has a crude drawing of a sun rising over a silhouette of the Hive spire with chains breaking around it. Very dramatic, very heretical. I turn it over and see a rough schedule. Assembly at 3rd shift end, St. Ophelia's abandoned chapel, bring offerings, tell no one. The fools practically wrote an invitation for us. A cold grin forms under my helmet. Looks like we got ourselves an invitation. Kovic's grin mirrors mine, visible now that he's removed his helmet to wipe some sweat. When is this meeting supposed to be? Tonight, I reply, showing him the scribbled timestamp. Not many hours from now, just after night cycle begins. Deep in the Underhive and abandoned Sump Chapel, coordinates are here on this map. He whistles softly. That's deep in the sump, past sanctioned zones. They picked a good spot, out of the way, easy to fortify. He's already thinking ahead. At our feet, the cultist crone starts cackling weakly, blood bubbling on her lips from internal injuries. Between broken tooth giggles, she rasps, "You are too late. Hee. The dawn comes. You can't stop it. The changer of ways has seen it. All your efforts are for nothing, corpse lover." I've heard enough cryptic prophecy for one day. I slam her head against the floor. Not enough to kill, just to knock the fight out of her. The laughter turns to a groan as she slips into semi-consciousness. Kovic leans down and gives her shattered knee a deliberate nudge with his boot. The agony jolts her back to alertness, eliciting an ear-piercing shriek. Through her sobs and ragged breaths, she spits, We are Legion. We are everywhere.
We are
The
many.
Hive will be cleansed. The false emperor's lapdogs, like you, will be broken. She devolves into hysterical giggles again, clearly in shock or utterly mad, likely both.
Both. Why
He
not both?
sneers and growls. How about a real answer? But it's no use. She's off in her own insane world. I've seen enough. She's not going to give us anything useful in the field. Kovic, call in a
Killer.
retrieval on this one. Let the Verispecs and interrogators pry the rest out of her skull.
Mhm.
He nods and steps aside to signal the all clear and request a prisoner pickup. I keep the cultist pinned. She's devolved into weeping now, whether from pain or from realizing her grand dawn isn't coming. Out of morbid curiosity, I lean down and ask quietly, "Those murdered workers, why them? What did they do to you?" She rolls her head to look at me, one
We
eye
didn't murder
swollen,
any
the other
workers.
alight with delirium. She croaks, "They were fuel for the fire, needed their blood
it
to
was
send a
them.
message, to show the false ones that their time ends at dawn. All will
gonna
serve the
happen.
changer, all will burn. You'll
What
see."
they all say.
Her voice trails into a lilting sing-song at the end. I feel a chill despite myself. The conviction of the truly insane can be unsettling, like we're listening to a voice not entirely her own.
Ow.
I smack the back of her head against the metal floor to end the conversation. She goes limp, finally knocked out cold. Enough of that nonsense. Kovic finishes his Vox call. Theta 4 is sending a retrieval team for the prisoner, he reports. ETA a few minutes. We should link back with Brand, update him, and prep for tonight. We haul the unconscious cultist up and drag her out into the passage, where 2 arbitrators from Theta 4 soon arrive to take custody. They slap heavy shock manacles on her wrists and a stun collar around her neck, standard procedure for witch types, to keep her docile. She starts regaining consciousness enough to hiss more obscenities until one of the arbitrators jabs a sedative into her. We make our way back to the plaza outside. Brand approaches, looking curious. "Heard you caught one." "Alive, yes," I reply. "A female, raving mad, calls her group the Children of the New Dawn. Ring any bells?" Brand rubs his stubble. "No, that one's new to me. I can run it past our archives later, but nothing comes to mind." I hand him one of the
He sounds
pamphlets we
defensive.
found. His eyes widen as he scans the inflammatory text. "They're openly recruiting? Throne." "Apparently so," I say grimly.
Mhm.
"They have a meeting planned tonight at an old sump chapel." I show him the hand-drawn map and coordinates. He lets out a low whistle. "That's deep in the Underhive near Sump Lake Theron. Almost no enforcer presence out there. They could gather a whole army and nobody'd big notice until it was too late. You'll need more than just 2 men if there's a whole nest." "We're thinking the same thing," I reply. "We'll call in a full strike team from the precinct." My tone makes it clear we already have. Brand nods approvingly. "I'll hold things here, get forensics on the scene. Rorik will want this wrapped up neat." He lowers his voice. "And watch
course
your
they will.
back down there. If they have half the numbers these pamphlets suggest they want, well, just be careful." "Always," Kovic grunts, already checking his ammo. We leave Brand's team to handle the crime scene cleanup and slip back to our repressor. As I mount the driver's seat again, a feeling of urgency presses in my chest. It's not every day we manage to get a step ahead of a cult. We actually know where they'll be and when. This is our chance to take them all out in one hammer blow. On the drive back to the precinct to muster the assault team, I turn to Kovic. This feels big. He is uncharacteristically quiet for a moment, gazing out the vision slit at the passing tunnels. Then he nods slightly. "Yeah, too coordinated for a bunch of random heretics. Pamphlets, planned meetings. Someone's organizing them."
Probably.
I voice the thought nagging at both of us. Someone smart, possibly someone high up. A cult pulling strings across different strata of Hive society. It wouldn't surprise me.
What? Some
Heresy
rich...
often reaches into lofty places.
I mean, in the Gotrek and Felix franchise, it's almost there's almost always some rich person involved. So yeah.
Kovic doesn't respond immediately. He just stares ahead as I maneuver through traffic. In the silence, I sense an undertone of worry in him that I rarely see. Perhaps he's pondering the same unsettling prospect. This could go all the way to the Spire, maybe even involve a
Lovely.
noble or high official. I tighten my grip on the controls until the leather creaks. Whatever it is, I growl, we'll stamp it out, root and branch,
That they will.
just like always. He finally speaks, softly. Yeah, we will. But his tone lacks conviction, which unsettles me. I glance over. He's absently tapping the
afraid.
pommel of his combat knife against his thigh, a habit he has when lost in dark thoughts.
Yeah.
You okay? I ask, stealing a quick moment to study him. His face is partly shadowed under the red interior lights, but I can see the furrow in his brow. He forces a chuckle. Yeah, just my damn knee acting up. He shifts, rotating his augmetic knee joint with a faint whir. He took a bullet to the leg a year ago, got a plasteel kneecap out of it. He pretends it doesn't bother him, but I know it aches now and then. I grunt. We'll get you some recaf. You'll be bright-eyed for the
Breakfast?
raid, old
You guys
man.
forgot breakfast?
Who you calling old whelp? He retorts with a faint smirk, a flash of his usual self. I can still outshoot you any day. I snort and manage a grin. These little exchanges keep us sane, remind us of countless nights we've seen through together. But as I refocus on the tunnel ahead, I can't help but notice he lapses back into silence, that earlier shadow returning to cloud his features. Something is eating at him, but I brush it aside. We're about to have a lot more on our minds. Back at Precinct 27, things kick into high gear as described earlier. By late afternoon, our strike force is formed and briefed. Rorik's orders still ring in my ears. Exterminate them. We load up and depart just before Hive night falls, racing toward the coordinates we obtained. Hive Kalitos's artificial daylights are fading to twilight as we descend into the Underhive once more, this time in force. Our convoy rumbles through access tunnels and then through natural caverns of corroded metal and collapsed infrastructure. Sector 56Z, Sump Lake. Theron, the map overlay, reads as we approach the location. An old chapel dedicated to St. Ophelia, down near the toxic Sump Lake on the Hive's ground floor. We park the vehicles a couple of blocks away to
There's only like
avoid
two of
tipping
them?
off anyone with engine noise. The last stretch we do on foot, moving through a warren of decrepit corridors lit only by our helmet lamps and the faint bioluminescent glow of fungus on the walls. The
Definitely
surroundings are nearly pitch black,
change
save
their
for
ways.
distant glows of barrel fires and the occasional green chem light marking a scavenger's path. Overhead, moisture drips steadily. The rain of the Underhive, condensation of countless leaking pipes above. Our target, St.
Probably
Ophelia
septic.
Sump Chapel, comes into view around
It's like one of the most disturbing things for me if you're like walking in old Manila, like in deep Manila, and you'd feel like a droplet of something, and you pray that someone isn't peeing or spitting something down at you, or worse, it could be a leaking septic pipe from a higher floor of something.
a bend, a domed structure half sunken into sludge, its once white pillars stained brown with time and filth. An enormous Aquila relief over the entry has been defaced
Aquila.
with what looks like an X slashed through it in paint. No obvious sentries posted outside. Perhaps they think no one could possibly disturb them down here, or they trust secrecy to be their guard. Fools. We fan out and take up positions behind the cover of rubble and scrap piles. I quickly survey the situation. The chapel's heavy plasteel doors are slightly ajar. Candlelight seeps through. I see shapes moving inside. My helmet audio picks up a muffled chorus of voices chanting or singing some discordant hymn. There must be a decent number of them in there.
Probably.
Our plan is set swiftly. Brand will lead 5 arbitrators through the main entrance with a breaching charge and stun grenades, drawing attention. Meanwhile, Kovic and I, along with young arbitrator Hale and one cyber mastiff, will slip in via a side breach we spotted, a gaping hole in the chapel's east wall, likely from structural decay, to flank the congregation. Classic hammer and anvil. I trust Kovic implicitly on tactics like this. He's saved my hide with clever flanks more than once. We share a quick nod as we peel off toward the dark side of the chapel. We stack up by the breach, which is covered by a sagging tarp and some scrap. I can hear the voices clearly now, a man's ringing voice speaking passionately and a crowd murmuring assent. Sounds like we arrived just in time for the sermon. Seconds away, Brand voxes over the team channel. We all tense, final weapon safeties clicking off. I draw a flash grenade with my offhand, primed to toss in as soon as the front charge blows. My shotgun is loaded with a mix of executioner and shredder rounds, good for unarmored flesh. Kovic has opted for his bolter and a shock maul for close work. I catch a snippet of the speech echoing from within. Ho! Cast down your oppressors. From the lowest to the highest, we will burn them out. The new dawn rises. Boom! The front doors erupt inward in a shower of splinters and shrapnel as our breaching charge detonates. Simultaneously, multiple crack-thum concussions echo as our flashbangs and stun grenades sail inside and detonate. The entire chapel is lit in momentary searing white, and the thumping shockwave rattles the ground. Kovic and I tear down the tarp and slip in through the breach with Hale and the cyber mastiff right behind. We emerge into the side of the nave amidst confusion and disarray. The scene inside is chaos, lit by the strobing afterglow of flashbangs and the flicker of candles knocked askew. A congregation of maybe 30 cultists was gathered here.
30.
Now most are reeling or covering their eyes, utterly stunned by the sudden assault. They range from filthy, hab-clothed laborers to a few who look like they might have been minor clerks or guilders, wearing tattered remains of quality clothes. Chaos is a great equalizer of fools. It's a motley assortment of men, women, even a couple of Juve youths, all caught in our blinding entry. The air stinks of spilt promethium from knocked-over lamps and the tang of ozone from the flashbangs. Candles gutter, plunging parts of the hall into dim gloom, only cut by our helmet lights. For a heartbeat, no one fires. The cultists are too disoriented, and we're swiftly taking positions among fallen masonry and pews. Then a ragged voice screams, Arbites, and sheer pandemonium ensues. Some cultists scatter, scrambling for cover behind pillars or overturning benches. Others, the more fanatical or foolish, raise weapons. I spot makeshift autoguns, a few pistols, knives, clubs, and open fire or charge at our silhouettes. A gunshot cracks past my ear. Another pings off Hale's pauldron as we spread out. I pump my shotgun and return fire, an executioner round homing in on the heat of a figure behind a toppled pew. It slams into a lanky man with a pistol, punching through his chest. He goes down with a choking scream. Beside me, Kovic advances relentlessly, his bolter thudding. Each shot finds a target in the now panicking congregation. One explodes a robed cultist in a bloom of red mist. Another blows the arm off a brute swinging a cleaver, sending him spinning. Within seconds, the chapel is a cacophony of gunfire and screams. The floor becomes slick with blood and scattered pamphlets. A handful of cultists try to mount some resistance. A volley of stubber shots clatter off Brand's suppression shield as he pushes in from the main door with his team. Arbitrator Doss fires a wash of promethium from the flamethrower, engulfing two cultists who were leveling a pipe gun in a blaze of holy fire. They collapse, shrieking and flailing, adding the reek of charred flesh to the mix. A knife-wielding cultist, eyes wild and foaming at the mouth, launches himself at young Hale with a screech of, "For the new dawn." He actually lands on Hale's back, stabbing downward with frenzied blows, trying to find a gap in the armor. Hale staggers, slamming the madman into a stone column twice. The cultist drops to the ground with a grunt. I finish him with a point-blank blast from my shotgun, the report echoing like thunder. Nearby, another crazed heretic, a woman with her face half-burned and painted with blood symbols, swings a length of chain at Arbitrator Doss's head. Doss ducks the whip-like attack, then bashes her skull in with his power maul, the crack of bone audible even amid the ruckus. Some cultists are screaming prayers to their dark gae, others just scream in terror. As our onslaught continues, many of the unarmed or lesser members break and run for any exit they can find. A cluster tries to flee out a side door, only to be met by our cyber mastiff, which pounces and tears into them with grinding metal jaws. Their cries meld with the mechanical snarl of the hound. "Watch the leader," Brand voxes. Through the haze, I spot him, the apparent leader who was giving the speech. Julius Cord, our administratum traitor, up on the dais near the altar.
How do they know?
He hasn't fled. Instead, he's ducked behind the heavy stone altar table. He's armed now, too. I glimpse the shine of a las pistol in his hand as he peeks out and fires a snapshot in our direction. The red las bolt sizzles overhead. The main cluster of cultists is broken and either surrendering or dying. Many lie groaning or silent on the floor. A handful of diehards still shoot from cover. A stubber fires wildly from behind a toppled statue until Kovic lobs a grenade in that direction, silencing it with a concussive whoomp and a scream. I press forward toward the dais, taking cover behind a toppled column base. On the dais, Julius Cord rises, shaking off dust. In one hand, he holds that las pistol, in the other, Emperor's Pity, a short staff crackling with blue warp lightning. His face is contorted with fury and... is that fear? So much for the Grand Orchestrator. He points the crackling staff at Kovic, who is nearest, ascending the dais steps. With a snarl, Julius unleashes a bolt of crackling purple energy. It slams into Kovic's chest like a lightning strike, blasting him off his feet. Kovic is flung back down the steps in a shower of sparks, landing hard and lying motionless. "Ko!" I start to shout, but reflex kicks in. Neutralize the threat first. I duck as Julius swings that warp-charged staff toward me next. A sizzling bolt of witchfire erupts from its tip. I dive behind a shattered pew as the purple-white blast obliterates the spot I occupied a split second earlier, blowing apart chunks of stone and wood. Splinters and dust rain down on me. My heart thuds with sudden worry for Kovic, but rage steals me. I grit my teeth, spring up from cover, and charge low at Julius while he's turning to target Brand's group. My suppression shield generator is still attached to my belt. I thumb it on mid-lunge. A shimmering energy field blazes to life on my left arm, just in time to intercept another blast of warp lightning he hurls at me. The unnatural energy splashes against the shield in a cascade of sparks. My shield fizzles and dies. Overload, but it absorbs the worst of the impact. My left arm goes numb from the jolt, but I keep my momentum. Before Julius can muster another psyker trick, I close the gap and slam bodily into him, shield first. We crash against the stone altar. His staff clatters from his hand, the crackling lightning along it sputtering out as it rolls away. Julius Cord, once deputy factorum of this hive, is now at my mercy. He thrashes surprisingly strong in his desperation. I drive my shock maul into his gut and trigger it. The power field sends blue tendrils of agony coursing through him. He convulses, spittle flying from his mouth as he gasps. His fancy administratum coat is smoldering where the maul contacts it. The laspistol tumbles from his grip. I seize his ornate coat collar and slam him face down onto the altar top,
Under arrest.
right atop his blasphemous tome and idol. Candles spill and gutter around us. Julius Cord, by authority of the Adeptus Arbites, you are under arrest
There we
for
go.
heresy, sedition, and mass murder. I snarl, breathing hard. He struggles feebly, wheezing. I wrench his arms behind him and clamp my manacles onto his wrists. He's caught. Kovik,
Done.
Emperor be praised, is moving again. I see him sit up unsteadily at the base of the dais, shaking off that blast. His armor absorbed most of it, looks
Nice.
like. Even so, he might have a few broken ribs. I see him wince as a medic arbitrator helps him up. Julius, face pressed to the cold stone altar, starts laughing, a wet, hacking chuckle. You have no idea what you've done.
What
He
have they
spits
done?
between bloody teeth. Shut it, I growl, forcing his head down. I'm in no mood for villainous monologues. Nearby, 2 arbitrators haul the captured magistratum enforcer traitor, the one we spotted at Julius's side, to his feet. The once enforcer is babbling, snot running down his chin. They made me do it. I didn't want to. Please, I have a family. Pathetic. He's bound and gagged swiftly. He'll face the judge soon enough. I'm not even surprised a local enforcer turned coat. I've seen it before on other worlds and in
Because
this
why
hive.
not?
We find corruption in the magistratum ranks all too often. It's one reason the Arbites exist, to police the so-called police. Julius hears the traitors sniveling and sneers despite being face down. Coward, he snarls at the enforcer. The changer will feast on your soul for failing him. The cult leader's eyes are wild, one pupil blown from the shock maul hit, but he still manages venom. The traitorous enforcer whimpers in fear as he's dragged away. Julius then shifts those hate-filled eyes to me. He bares his teeth. Blind lapdog of a corpse throne, he hisses. You think this ends here? Change cannot be stopped. Kill me, and 10,000 like me will rise.
Probably.
Hive Kalitos will burn. Your whole rotten imperium will fall. The changer of ways will watch it all crumble. He's practically foaming. I've heard enough. One of my comrades clearly has, too. An arbitrator drives the butt of his shotgun into Julius's gut, cutting off the rant. The man who fancied himself a prophet of revolution collapses to his knees, coughing and gagging. He's yanked up again, and 2 arbitrators begin hauling him off. A shock collar is snapped around Julius's neck for good measure. Even now, he tries to spew muffled curses about eternal change and our souls, until one of the team silences him with a stun prod to the back. He jerks and goes limp, finally quiet. I watch them drag the half-conscious ex-administrator away in shackles. There's no point exchanging words with the damned. We determine the guilty. We decide the punishment. That's our creed.
That they do.
His punishment will come soon enough. Sweeping the chapel, it looks like it's over. Bodies of cultists lie strewn in grotesque tableaus amidst spent shells and smoldering debris. The altar cloth caught fire at some point, and a small flame licks one corner of the dais. An arbitrator stomps it out. Clear, someone calls. No cultists left standing. I count maybe a dozen survivors being herded together by my colleagues, bruised, bleeding, and disarmed, their hands on their heads or already in cuffs. These will be interrogated, then executed or sent to servitor conversion as deemed fit.
Ew.
Some are crying, others staring blankly in shock at the carnage that erupted around them. The floor is slick with blood and the stink of burnt flesh from those who caught Doss's flamer. I immediately move to Kovic's side. He's sitting on a broken bench, helmet off, sweat matting his gray hair. His chest armor is scorched and smoking from that psyker bolt, but it seems intact. It probably dispersed most of the energy. The Medikey arbitrator on scene is running a scanner over him. He waves them off. "I'm all right," he grunts. Typical stubbornness. "Don't scare me like that, you old cog," I mutter, kneeling next to him. The relief in my voice is barely hidden. "I thought you bought it." He chuckles weakly, then winces, pressing a hand to his side, likely cracked ribs. "Not yet." "Throne, I've been hit worse. Emperor's not done punishing me with paperwork." I manage a dry laugh at that. Good, if he's joking, he'll live. I clap a hand on his pauldron gently. "We got the cult leader. It's over." He nods vaguely, but his eyes don't meet mine. Instead, he gazes off at nothing in particular. "Yes, over." There's a distant tone to his voice I don't like. His hands tremble slightly as he wipes soot from his bolter. He opens his mouth like he wants to say something more, but then a racking cough interrupts. "Gah, just smoke," he mutters when I move closer in concern. "You sure you're okay?" I ask softly. Up close, I see how pale he's gone beneath the grime, and not just from the blast. Something is weighing on him. He forces a tight smile that doesn't reach his eyes. "Good work, arbitrator." Arbitrator, not Saul or kid, so formal. It catches me off guard. I frown. "We did it together." At that, he actually turns away slightly. He busies himself picking up his dropped shotgun from the floor. I need some air," he mutters. I get a sinking feeling, remembering how quiet he was earlier.
Something's wrong.
But there's no time to dig into it. More arbitrators are arriving to secure the site, and I'm being hailed for status updates. I leave Kovic in the capable hands of the Medikey for now, assuming it's just physical strain, or maybe the adrenaline crash hitting him. Outside, in the sludge-strewn yard of the chapel, brand new prisoners are being loaded into transports. The traitor enforcer is among them, bound and gagged in the back of a paddy wagon. The few surviving cultists...
Paddy wagon! Paddy wagon! Paddy wagon is a racist, whatchamacallit, it's a racist slang for a police wagon that hauls away prisoners during the Great Migration after the potato famine in the US. That's why they call it paddy wagon, is because, you know, most of their contained prisoners are Irish. So, ergo, paddy wagon. How would they know that reference?
Who aren't too injured are shackled and thrown in beside him. They'll all be interrogated at length soon. They're actually the lucky ones. Some of their fellows who survived the firefight are being put down right here due to grievous mutations or injuries. I see one of my arbitrators execute a limbless, gibbering cultist with a single round rather than bother hauling him up Hive. I take a long breath of the foul under-Hive air. Beneath the acrid cocktail of chemical fumes and blood, there's a current of satisfaction, maybe, stirring in my chest. This was a bloody mess, but ultimately a victory. We stopped a dangerous cult before it could spark a Hive-wide revolt or something worse. We captured its leader alive, an unexpected bonus. Judge Rorik will be very pleased, possibly promotions or commendations in store for some of us. Not that I care much for medals. All I care is that the job was done. Emperor alone knows how many lives we saved by crushing this nest here and now, snuffing out their new dawn before it could truly rise. We gather our wounded, thankfully none are dead on our side, a rarity, and evidence. The profane tome and strange glowing idol from the altar, are carefully packed up by a Verispex tech priest who's just arrived, both items placed in warded containers. They'll likely end up in an Inquisitor's hands or a pyre. Our own casualties are minor. Hale's got a knife puncture in his shoulder that he's treating like a badge of honor, and Kovic, of course, got his bell rung by that witch bolt, but is standing, albeit gingerly. Within the hour, we're ready to move out. The cult site is secured, scorched, and marked for cleanup crews to purge thoroughly. As we load up, Arbitrator Brand claps me on the back. "Damn fine job, Soldavan. That could have gone a lot worse. Drinks on me when we get back topside." He's grinning, adrenaline still high. I nod with a tired smile. "I'll hold you to that." Kovic insisted on walking into the transport under his own power, though he groaned with each step. Stubborn groks indeed. I kept a watchful eye on him as we boarded. He met my gaze briefly and gave a faint nod. "I want to talk to him, to ask what's gnawing at him, but it'll have to wait till we're back. Maybe he'll open up over that promised drink." The ride back up is bumpy and mostly quiet. Some of the team chatter excitedly about the raid, but I'm not in a talking mood. I catch Kovic seated across from me, helmet off and eyes closed as if resting. He looks exhausted, beyond the physical hurts. I make a mental note. After we report in, I'll pull him aside. Back at Precinct Fortress 27, it's organized chaos. The prisoners are offloaded and whisked to holding cells or interrogation chambers. Julius Cord gets special treatment, a psi dampener hood locked over his head and a full escort of 6 arbitrators marching him to the fortified isolation cells deep within the courthouse. He'll be interrogated by specialists, perhaps even an Inquisitor's team if they show up. But that's for tomorrow. In the main yard, Judge Rorik himself meets us, flanked by a couple of senior arbitrators. His one bionic eye, iris glows red in the twilight gloom. He gives our bloodied, tired group a rare, approving nod. "Outstanding work," he says gravely. "Textbook operation. You rooted out the heresy and delivered the Emperor's justice. Hive Kalitos owes you a debt." He clasps my forearm in a firm warrior's handshake. I simply nod. Praise from Rorik is rare and slightly uncomfortable, but I appreciate it nonetheless. He moves to Kovic, who stands at stiff attention despite the Medicae fussing over his cracked ribs. Rorik claps him on the shoulder. "Still bagging trophies after all these years, eh, Kovic?" he says, almost smiling. "I suspect a promotion recommendation is in order. Perhaps leading your own suppression squad someday soon." Kovic forces a thin grin and salutes.
Probably.
"Just doing my duty, sir," he manages. His voice sounds normal, but I can see it in his eyes. Something is hollow there. Rorik, pleased and oblivious, moves on to bark orders about securing evidence and contacting the governor's office about this incident. As the judge turns away, Kovic's false smile falls like a dropped mask, leaving an expression of despair. "No, that can't be. I must be imagining it."
What?
The judge adds more quietly to us as he departs. "We may have unraveled a far-reaching heresy today. Well done." Then he and his retinue sweep off to handle the higher-level fallout. We know what that means. Paperwork and scrutiny, but also likely accolades. Perhaps a few of us will receive honors, a note in our service record that we nipped an insurrection in the bud. That's all fine. My mind, though, isn't on glory. It keeps drifting to Kovic. All through the debriefing with the judge and the evidence handover, I could sense something off in my partner. I've known the man most of my career. I've seen him banged up, furious, even frightened once or twice, but I've never seen him like he is now. Silent, head slightly bowed, as if somewhere far away inside himself. Hours later, after the adrenaline subsides and Medicaid patch up my side wound, just a shallow stab, more painful than dangerous, and we've given our initial formal statements. I finally get a chance to break away. They wanted me to rest. Apparently, I look like hell, but I have one more thing to do first. I make my way down to the medicine ward. It's quiet now, the excitement dying down. A few groans from sedated prisoners echo through the halls. I find Kovik's recovery room. The door is slightly ajar, low lumens casting a pale glow inside. I knock lightly and step in.
That's
Kovik is
over for
sitting on the edge
Kovik.
of his cot, fully dressed down to his Under Armour body glove, like he's ready to leave. His gear is piled neatly on a chair.
Where's he
He
going?
looks up, startled for half a second, then relaxes when he sees it's me. Going somewhere? I ask gently, trying a smile. Can't keep a caged grox down, eh? He attempts a chuckle. They cleared me, I'm fine, he lies. He avoids my eyes, instead busying himself fastening his boots. I notice a full syringe of painkiller on the bedside tray that he clearly refused to use. With cracked ribs and a mild concussion? I say skeptically, folding my arms. Right. He doesn't answer that. He just shrugs. They need the beds for worse cases. I step closer, leaning against the wall.
You are a
The
worst
tension in
case.
the air is thick. Kovik, what's eating you? We won. We stopped a damned cult from blowing up half the hive. Why do you look like we lost? He stays silent, jaw working, as if struggling to articulate something. Finally, in a low voice, not much above a whisper, he asks, Did we win? I blink, momentarily at a loss. Of course we did. We stopped a cult uprising, caught the ringleader.
What does
He
that
cuts me
mean?
off, bitterness edging his tone. There's always another cult, Saul, another gang,
never
another
ends.
heresy, another rebellion. We cut off one head, 10 more sprout in its place. Nothing really changes. I stare at him.
Just tired.
This is uncharacteristic. Coming from anyone else, I'd be slapping on cuffs or calling for a psyche eval for defeatism. From
I was
him,
just
it's
tired.
deeply worrying. That's what we do, Kov. We cut the heads as they come. Hold the line. If we falter, the whole hive... Hold the line, he echoes, shaking his head. How long have we been holding it? How many decades? How many centuries? And things keep getting worse. I take a step forward, reaching
Because
out.
they're losing.
We do what we must. It's not our place to... He snaps, looking up at me with a sudden flash of anger in his weary eyes. Maybe it should be our place, Saul. Who else is going to question things? The common folk. They're too busy trying to survive. Us? We're too busy shooting them. I feel a chill. I glance to the door, making sure it's fully closed. The things he's saying, they're dangerous.
Heresy.
Kovik, I say carefully, keeping my voice low. Tread lightly. That line of thinking is perilous. He barks a laugh, dry and humorless. Perilous? To whom? The Holy Throne, or the bloated bastards who benefit from all this suffering? I draw a sharp breath. The bitterness, the venom. It's not like him. Sure, he's grumbled about hive conditions and idiot nobles before, we both have. But this sounds like despair. I place a hand on his shoulder, both to steady him and to reassure. Take a few days off. Go to the chapel, talk to the confessor. You'll feel better.
Yeah.
He studies my face, and I see tears welling in his eyes.
Focus.
Emperor's truth. Tears. My stomach lurches. He gives that hollow laugh again. Solomon, ever the true believer. He smiles sadly, a tear trickling down his scarred cheek. You always were a better man than me. My mind is racing. This is beyond a simple morale dip. He's teetering on the edge of something truly dark. I have to pull him back. I drop my voice to almost a whisper, urgent. Kovik, listen. Whatever guilt or doubt you're feeling, it's the enemy talking. We all have dark nights of the soul. The Emperor tests us with that. You taught me that, remember? Doubt is a poison we must purge. He looks at me with profound sorrow. Perhaps I taught you too well. You don't
Probably.
see it, do you? Or you refuse to? See what? I ask, exasperated and fearful. All I see is my partner drowning in despair and talking damn heresy. At that, he suddenly steps forward and wraps his arms around me in a fierce, unexpected embrace. I freeze, utterly stunned. We're not the hugging sort, he and I. He's trembling slightly. He leans his head next to mine and whispers, voice cracking. I'm sorry, Saul. You deserved a better partner. Before I can fully register those words, I feel a sharp, stabbing pain explode in my side. I gasp and shove away reflexively. Kovic staggers back, and in his hand I see a bloody blade, my own combat knife, which he must have snatched from my belt during that embrace. He just stabbed me. For an eternal second, I simply stare at him, confusion and hurt surging through me more acutely than the actual wound.
He possessed or something?
I manage, pressing a gauntleted hand to the wet warmth blossoming beneath my ribs. Blood seeps through my fingers. It's not immediately fatal, I realize distantly. He struck a seam between armor plates, but low and to the side. Hurts like sin, but I'll live. Physically, he looks as shattered as I feel, eyes brimming and face contorted in anguish. He holds the blade loosely, as if disgusted with it and himself. His voice is barely a whisper. Run, Saul. Say I overpowered you. I can't stay here. My brain reels. He's not just despairing. He's deserting, going rogue, the one thing we swore never to do. That's death. He knows that's death. No, you're not doing this, I stammer, stepping towards him despite the hot pain in my side. He raises the knife again, hand shaking violently. Stay back. Please, I won't. I won't hurt you more, but I can't be part of this anymore. I won't stand by and watch it all continue, so I'll go somewhere I can't harm anyone. I realize what he means, likely vanishing into the Underhive sump or the wastes beyond, to drink himself to death.
What happens to an Arbites deserter? Because there are like a ton of stories with regards to guards deserting, but what of Arbites deserters? Comments, please.
Or let a mutant beast have him. Anything to escape this life. A cold spike of panic hits me. This is wrong. This isn't how it's supposed to go. Kovic, who taught me so much, who has been my...
We're finally moving on to the final phase! I just don't know what these things are. That's a bag, that's a cross belt, I think. I just can't, figure out what these things are. But I'll probably get them next time.
Brother-in-arms, my anchor. I can't let him throw his life away like this. I grit my teeth against the pain and slowly draw my sidearm. I can't let you go. He nods, almost imperceptibly, resignation in his eyes. I know. For a moment, all is silence but for our breathing. We stand a meter apart, me pointing my pistol at his chest, him holding that bloodied knife out in a trembling fist. Arbites issue sidearms don't have a stun setting. If I pull this trigger, I will kill my best friend. He sees my hesitation. A sad smile touches his lips. Your aim is better. Do it. It's the only way for you now. I feel tears blur my vision. My voice comes out a broken plea. Don't ask me to. Please. He straightens to attention as if on a firing line. His face gentles, a kind of peace washing over it. Better one of us than the commissars or inquisitors, he says quietly. You'll tell them I snapped, tried to kill you, and escape.
Yeah.
You had no choice. They'll believe it. I made sure. He glances meaningfully at my bleeding side. Indeed, the evidence of his attack is clear. And with his earlier odd behavior, it'll be plausible. He's engineering his own death to save my career, my conscience,
Interesting.
everything. My throat tightens with grief. I shake my head vehemently, tears spilling now. Kovic, Johannes. I use his first name for the first time in years.
Johannes.
My voice cracks. You saved my life more times than I can count. Let me save yours now. We can fight this. We'll find hope again, or purpose, or something. Together.
Mm.
He just closes his eyes for a second, a tear escaping down his cheek. When he opens them, they are filled with sorrow and something like love. You always had enough hope for both of us, Sol, but I've lost mine. I'm empty. He lowers the knife slowly, letting it drop with a clang. He spreads his arms slightly, presenting his chest to me, the way a condemned man faces a firing squad. His voice is almost a plea. Do your duty, arbitrator. My heart shatters. A sob catches in my throat, but I force myself not to lower my weapon. He's right about one thing. If I don't do this, someone else will, and likely in a
Probably.
much uglier fashion. The Emperor's justice is absolute. I can't change that, no matter how much this is killing me inside. Duty. I recall a fragment of the Lex Imperialis. Sententia aut executio numquam dubitant. The sentence and execution never hesitate. Emperor, give me strength, not for glory, but for mercy. I draw in a shuddering breath and steady my aim through sheer will. The gun feels like it weighs a ton. Kovic stands unflinching, eyes closed, face calm, waiting. I'll remember you, I whisper, voice broken. I'm already forgotten, he whispers back, almost too soft to hear.
Yeah.
My finger squeezes
guy.
the trigger. The bolt pistol kicks. The bolt shell punches into Kovic's chest, and a heartbeat later detonates. Blood splashes my boots and the wall behind him. He's thrown back onto the cot by the force, a gaping hole where his heart was. For a moment, I can't move. A thin wisp of smoke curls from the muzzle of my pistol. My hands are shaking violently now. Kovic's body slides limply off the cot to the floor with a dreadful finality. His eyes stare at nothing. I'm dimly aware of alarms blaring and pounding footsteps. The muzzle report in an Arbites precinct triggers automatic sensors, and security teams are already at the door. 2 arbitrators and a medic burst in, guns drawn. They take in the scene. Me bleeding and unsteady, Kovic. Kovic sprawled on the floor. I slowly set my pistol down and raise a hand, not in surrender exactly, but in a gesture of compliance. He attacked me, I manage hoarsely. My voice sounds distant and hollow to my own ears. Tried to escape. I had no choice. The words tumble out flat, mechanical, like I'm reciting a report. I suppose I am, already giving the official account through sheer instinct. They rush to Kovic's fallen form. The medic checks for a pulse, even though the crater in his torso makes it obvious. He looks up and meets the eyes of the others. Gone, he says quietly. Everything after is a blur. I'm helped to my feet by someone, an arbitrator saying something like, "Easy, we got you." A cloth is pressed to my side wound. Dozens of questions swirl. What happened? Did he go mad? Are you all right? I hear my own voice answering automatically. He snapped, started saying crazy things, tried to stab me. I had to. I trail off, but they're already nodding. My wound and the raving some of them overheard earlier will corroborate my story. A loyal arbitrator forced to put down his partner gone rogue. There will be an investigation, but I suspect it will quietly conclude Kovic fell to stress, or perhaps the influence of the cult's warp taint. Maybe I'll even get that commendation for preventing a compromised officer from doing further harm. Throne, what hollow irony. Hours later, or it might be days, time means little. After I've been stitched up and I've repeated my account in a formal debrief to a panel of stony-faced judges, I find myself alone. I wander without purpose and end up in the precinct's little chapel. It's the middle of the night cycle. The tiny shrine is empty, lit by a single wavering lumen candle. The statue of the emperor as the judge looms over the altar, gold scales in one hand, a sword in the other. Gaze stern but somehow compassionate in the low light. I sink onto a bench with a heavy clatter of armor. My helmet is gone. I vaguely recall leaving it in the medbay. The cold stone seat grounds me a bit in reality. I should pray for Kovik's soul if it might somehow find the Emperor's mercy, for guidance, for forgiveness. But I can't form the words. I just sit, head in my hands, and break down into ragged sarce. We're not supposed to cry. We're Arbites, embodiment of pitiless law. But damned if I can stop myself in this moment. Eventually, I sense a presence. The precinct confessor, an elderly ministorum priest assigned to our fortress, emerges from a shadowed alcove, drawn by the sounds of grief. He's frail, draped in threadbare robes, bearing the aquila. A faint whir comes from the augmetic eye on his left side. He approaches gently and rests a liver-spotted hand on my shoulder. "Solomon, my son, do you wish to confess or
Confess
speak?"
what?
His voice is soft,
Dangerous.
grandfatherly. I rasp out, throat raw. I don't know." He nods,
That
easing
is
himself
dangerous.
onto the bench beside me with a sea. "I heard a tragedy. We live in dark times when even the faithful lose their way." I nod numbly, not trusting my voice. The weight of everything sits on me like a slab of plasteel. He continues quietly. "Doubt is a poison. It can kill as surely as a bullet. Your partner's mind was troubled, assailed by that poison. If I had seen it earlier, done something," I whisper, voice cracking with guilt. The confessor gently shakes his head. "Do not blame yourself, son. Each soul stands before the throne alone in the end. He made his choices. You did your duty." He fixes me with his organic eye, firm yet kind. "And you saved lives by doing so, unpleasant as it was." Duty. Yes, I did my duty. I know that intellectually. But Emperor, it hurts so much. As if reading my mind, the confessor squeezes my shoulder. Duty before heart. It is the Arbites way, the Emperor's way. A hard road, but righteous. I wipe my face, trying to compose myself. He said the Imperium doesn't deserve us," I murmur. It's the line that cut deepest, that still echoes in my head. The confessor's expression hardens just a touch. His judgment was clouded by heresy and despair.
Heresy.
Of course, the Imperium needs us. Without the rule of law, humanity would devour itself or fall to Xynos and witchery. He leans forward, catching my gaze. "Never doubt that, Solomon. Not after this. Let this law strengthen your resolve. A lesser man might waver, but you must stand firmer than ever. In the Emperor's name." I draw a shuddering breath. His words have the ring of truth. On an intellectual level, I know he's right. The Hive, the Imperium, they're held together by people like me, doing the ugly work. I nod slowly. "You're right, Father." He offers a small, warm smile. "Of course. Now, shall we pray for your friend's soul? Though he strayed, we can beg the Emperor's mercy that in death he found some absolution." I swallow and nod. "Yes, please." We kneel together on the cold marble floor before the statue of the Emperor. The confessor begins a solemn litany. "Most holy God, Emperor, judge of all souls, we beseech thee, grant us strength to carry out thy law. In thy mercy look upon the soul of thy servant who faltered. If it be thy will, forgive his transgressions born of despair. Purge the shadows that claimed him.
Urge
His
the
gentle
shadows.
baritone echoes softly. I bow
How
my
will this
head,
end, though?
eyes closed, and manage to whisper the response that I've known since childhood. In service to your will we stand, in judgment by your hand we endure. As we finish the prayer, a hint of artificial dawn light begins to filter through a high grated window, the hive's way of imitating morning. It falls across the emperor's statue, making the steel scales glint. His face looks stern, but perhaps by the trick of the light, also understanding. Probably just my imagination.
Probably.
I rise, feeling
Just like when guys said the Emperor blinked or something in the trailer.
not whole. I'll never feel whole again, I suspect. But I feel tempered, like a blade quenched after being through the fire, still bearing the scars of the forge, but solid and unbroken. The confessor gives me a final fatherly pat. Go with the Emperor's blessing, my son. He totters off to attend his morning devotions, leaving me alone with the looming statue. I look up at the Emperor's carved visage, the ideal arbitrator, the perfect judge. We determine the guilty, we decide the punishment. Those words from the Book of Judgment echo in my mind. No matter the cost, I whisper, finishing the unspoken creed through clenched teeth. My voice sounds firm, almost a growl. The microbead in my ear chirps suddenly, startling me. A junior arbitrator's voice. Sir, Judge Rorik requests your presence. New orders. There's unrest in the Mid-Hive Manufactorum block. Possible riot. Patrols gearing up now, sir. Always another crisis. It truly never ends. I click the Vox twice to acknowledge and take a deep, centering breath. Time to put the helmet back on. Metaphorically, I'll grab a replacement on the way. Time to bury Solomon the man and let Arbitrator Soldevon carry on. Emperor, give me strength, I murmur, a final private plea as I turn from the shrine. And rest for a weary soul. No divine voice answers. I didn't expect one. The Emperor's answers come in the form of duty, of resolve. We enforce the law, and that is answer enough. Minutes later, I'm in the armory again, strapping on a fresh carapace chestplate to replace my damaged one. My new patrol partner stands nearby, a fresh-faced arbitrator named Lyra, only recently transferred in to fill our losses. She's practically vibrating with nervous energy as we prepare to roll out. I see a bit of my younger self in her eager, bright eyes. Emperor, I hope she keeps that fire, tempered with time rather than snuffed out. We mount up in a repressor, sirens wailing this time as the situation is urgent. As the vehicle lurches forward out of the precinct bay, I gaze through the view slit at the hive beyond. The city greets us with another day of misery and defiance, and we will answer with discipline and retribution. This is the way of things. My side wound throbs beneath the bandages, a phantom reminder of the price of doubt and betrayal. Patched up, it will heal physically. The emotional wound, maybe not fully. But I will harness that pain, turn it into righteous fury at the next lawbreaker I face. I owe that much to Kovic's memory, and to myself. My hands steady on the wheel. Lyra sits in the passenger seat beside me, checking her shotgun nervously. She glances over, perhaps sensing the somber cloud around me. I force a faint, reassuring smirk, hiding the turmoil beneath as I've learned to do. Ready for a fun morning, rookie? She musters a small smile. Always, sir. There's fear in her eyes, but also determination. I nod, facing forward as we roar down a steel causeway toward the hive's troubled heart. Engines snarling, lights blazing, we plunge into the depths once more. A short time later, we arrive at the Manufactorum block to find a full-blown riot in progress. A crowd of a few hundred angry workers has massed at the gates of Munitions Plant 17, shouting, throwing debris, some brandishing makeshift weapons. They're chanting incoherently. I catch fragments. No more quota cuts. Feed our children. And even down with the governor.
They want
Dangerous,
more work.
seditious words fueled by desperation. The local magistratum enforcers have formed a thin line with plastic riot shields, but they're vastly outnumbered and look terrified. As our repressor screeches onto the scene and our siren whoops, their lieutenant actually sighs in relief and rushes toward us, waving frantically. I disembark, Lyra right behind me. The enforcer lieutenant is a sweating man with a bruise forming on his cheek. "Thank the throne you're here, arbitrator," he babbles over the din. "It started as a wage protest at shift change. Then someone threw a firebomb. They've got 2 overseers hostage inside. We've got wounded officers. We tried to hold, but..." I hold up a gauntlet, cutting him off. "We'll take it from here, Lieutenant." My voice is cold and clipped through my external vox. He nods gratefully and stumbles back to his men, ordering them to fall behind our armored bulk. The mob has noticed our arrival. Some fall back warily, but others shout curses and wave pipes or chains. They haven't
Will it
dispersed,
work?
emboldened maybe by the belief that we won't dare slaughter them all. A mistaken
They probably
belief.
will.
I flip a switch on my gorget, and my amplified voice booms across the plaza. "Citizens, disperse immediately and return to your habs. This gathering is an unlawful disturbance against the
Legal.
Emperor's peace. Disperse now, or lethal force will be used." My warning echoes. For a
Legal.
moment, a few in the mob shuffle backward, but then a particularly burly man with augmetic arms climbs atop a wrecked hab truck and bellows, "Don't run, they can't kill all of us. No justice, no work." He raises a
I
stub
was about to
revolver
say
and
no,
fires
please.
it wildly into the air, rallying the mob with bravado. That tears it. They want a demonstration? I'll give them one. "Target the leader on the truck," I voxer to Lyra and the other arbitrators deploying from the second repressor. Shock and awe on my mark. Before the rabble-rouser can fire again, I plant my feet and line up my shot. A single executioner round from my shotgun cracks out. The slug finds its mark, punching straight through the augmetic-chested leader's torso. He's knocked clean off the truck, hitting the ground with a heavy thud. A hush falls on the crowd as their champion spasms and coughs blood, a neat hole through his chest. That silence shatters a heartbeat later. Some in the mob scream and break for cover. Others roar in outrage and surge forward towards us, brandishing their weapons. A shot rings out and pings off my shoulder plate. A glass bottle filled with flaming promethium arcs overhead and shatters in front of our line, splashing burning fuel, a crude firebomb, dangerously close. "Advance," I
No
command.
justice, no peace.
We move in a wedge, shields up front, boots thudding in unison. A volley of bricks and scrap metal rains against our carapace and tower shields, clanging and bouncing off. "Flash out," one of my arbitrators calls. He lobs a stun grenade into the oncoming front rank of rioters. It detonates with a searing flash and deafening bang. Dozens of the rioters reel, clutching their eyes and ears. We hit them like a mailed fist. I drive my shock shield into the chest of a charging woman wielding a kitchen
Ow.
knife. She flies backward with a whoosh of lost breath. Lyra is just behind me on the right. I hear her shout a litany as she fires a rubber slug round into a large miner's knee. The man collapses, kneecap shattered, howling in pain. Our line plows through the disoriented first rank. An auto pistol goes off to my left. The shot sparks off the ground by my boot. I pivot and see a scrawny youth leveling a cheap auto pistol with shaking hands.
What makes it
My
cheap?
arm snaps up and I put a shock maul charge right into his midsection. He convulses and collapses, drooling and unconscious. Alive, maybe, but out of the fight. A hulking laborer swings a length of rebar at me, bellowing incoherently. The rod slams into my side. I grunt as the impact makes me step half a pace, but the armor holds. I rip the rebar from his hands and crack him across the jaw with my power
I mean,
maul.
this story is just like any other day, alright? We just, move on.
His jawbone gives way with a sickening crunch, and he drops like a sack of Grok's feed, blood spurting from his ruined mouth. The mob's initial fury is broken. Many turn and run, fleeing down alleys or ducking behind machinery. Our arbitrators press on, disciplined and methodical. A few persistent clumps of rioters try to make a stand, throwing rocks, even a few firing improvised zip guns. But they are met with overwhelming force. Doss unleashes a cone of fire from his flamer into a knot of rioters attempting to tip an enforcer vehicle. They disperse in screams as their clothes ignite. The smell of burned flesh and promethium mixes with the chemical air. To my right, Hale, his arm in a sling from the cult fight, but still on duty, fires a burst from his auto rifle above the heads of a group of rioters who were running toward a storage depot. They drop their makeshift weapons and scatter, terrified by the supersonic cracks overhead. Within minutes, the riot's spine is snapped. The remaining protesters, those not lying, moaning on the ground or slumped dead, are in full retreat, vanishing into the maze of the Hive. I see some tossing aside their red protest armbands and blending into the onlooking crowds at the periphery.
Yeah.
Suddenly, innocent bystanders. Typical. Area secure. I Vox speed to the team, breathing heavily inside my helmet. My calf stings where a thrown chunk of concrete hit a weak spot, but adrenaline keeps it at bay. I scan the aftermath. The plaza in front of the Factorum gate is now littered with bodies, debris, and flickering fires. A broken "No Tithe, No Work" banner lies trampled in blood-muddled dust. The ground is strewn with dropped pipes, chains, and crude firearms. Here and there, an injured rioter groans or crawls. The enforcers move in now, emboldened by our success, to cuff the worst of the lot and begin bucket brigading water onto fires. Local Medicaid servitors will have to be dispatched for the wounded civilians. I focus on my own. None of our arbitrators have fallen. A few scrapes and bruises, nothing serious. Emperor be praised. I spot Lyra standing near a fallen rioter, her shotgun still trained on him. The young arbitrator's chest heaves with exertion. I approach and follow her gaze. A boy, Emperor, he's barely older than 16, lies at her feet in a pool of blood. Half his head is gone. It doesn't take a Medicaid to see he's dead. A cheap stub revolver rests loosely in his limp hand. Lyra's voice trembles as she notices me. "Sir, he fired at me."
Yes, he did.
Her own face is splattered with a few drops of blood. I had to. She cuts off, swallowing hard, the reality sinking in that she took a life just now. She's staring at the body, probably the first she's personally made. Through her visor, I see her eyes, wide and glassy. If I don't nip this in the bud, she might end up like him. I step over the corpse and put a gauntlet on her shoulder. "Report, arbitrator." She snaps her eyes to me, reflexively straightening. "All clear, sir.
Yeah.
No injuries." A pause, then softly. "He tried to shoot me. I returned fire." Her lower lip quivers the tiniest bit. I realize she can't be more than a few years older than that boy on the ground. I nod once, firmly.
Good job.
My voice comes out sterner than intended, but it must. He was an armed insurgent threatening an officer of the law. You did your duty. That is what matters. Her gaze drifts back to the corpse. But he was just a
Nope,
an
he was
insurgent.
an insurgent.
I interject sharply. Listen to me, Lyra. I use her name, making sure I have her full attention. Hesitate against a threat and you die, or someone else innocent dies. You had seconds to decide, and you made the right call. She closes her eyes a moment, then
That she
breathes.
did.
Understood, sir. When she opens them again, there's a little less doubt, a little more hardened acceptance. I see the steel forming behind the glass. Good. All around us, enforcers are rounding up those too injured to flee. A few bystanders, elderly hivers, scared shopkeepers, peek out and start to clean up debris wordlessly. They've seen riots before. They know the drill. Keep your head down and get on with life after the Arbites do their thing. Lyra's still watching me. There's something like admiration in her eyes now, beneath the shock. Perhaps because I'm composed and calm after all this. If only she knew the storm beneath my own surface. But she doesn't need to. She needs an example to emulate. Sir, do you think we did the right thing? She ventures quietly, glancing at the devastation. The flicker of doubt hasn't entirely left. I square my shoulders and survey the scene. The fires are mostly out, the Factorum gates still stand, and the survivors, both workers and our own, will live to see another day. It's not about right or wrong as you're thinking of it, I say slowly. It's about law and order. Without it, this hive, and every soul in it, would descend into complete anarchy. We are the thin line that prevents that. I gesture to the battered Factorum gates, behind which I see cowering clerks and tech adepts now peeking out. Those people will now go back to work, and the Manufactorum will resume production. The tithe will be met. The hive continues. I turn back to Lyra, lowering my voice so only she hears. It's ugly, it's thankless.
Yes, it is.
But it's necessary. We saved far more lives than we took today. Remember that. She absorbs my words in silence, then nods slowly. Yes, sir. Her posture straightens a little. I think she understands, at least on a basic level. The deeper grappling will come with time, as it does for all of us. I pray she's strong enough. The distant wail of an Arbites medical transport grows louder. Backup finally arriving now that the shooting has stopped. Cleanup crews and magistratum detectives will follow to process arrests and casualty reports. I roll my stiff shoulders. Emperor, I'm tired. It's been one hell of a long couple of days with no sleep. My body is running on recaf and willpower at this point. But there's a grim satisfaction coiled in me too. The hive threw its worst at us. Cultists, traitors, rioters. And we're still here. I'm still here. Bloodied but unbowed. I gaze upward at the Cyclopean
Invictus.
hive spires disappearing into smog, and I imagine the haughty nobles up there sipping their amasec, utterly oblivious to the blood spilled to keep their world turning today. They likely won't even hear of this riot, or if they do, it'll be a one-line report filed away without a thought. That's fine. I don't do this for gratitude or glory. Nearby, two enforcers haul a bruised agitator to his feet. He spits blood and curses at them until one cracks him across the back of the head. A cluster of soot-faced workers who were brave, or foolish, enough to remain now, help drag debris aside to clear the roadway, casting nervous glances our way. Life in Hive Kalitos is already resuming its usual grinding misery. And that, right there, is the victory. Stability preserved. Lyra steps up beside me, awaiting orders. She's blood-splattered, a bit shell-shocked perhaps, but holding together. In her reflection on my visor, I see not the naive rookie from this morning, but a fellow arbitrator who has now dipped her hands in the harsh reality of our work. She can't be more than 20 standard years old, possibly fresh from the Schola. Yet today she's killed and nearly been killed in turn. Baptism by fire. She'll never
Interesting.
quite be the same innocent girl she was, but in our line of work, that's a good thing. She's one of us now. I offer her a small nod of approval. Mount up. We've got reports of minor looting in the next sector over.
Very
We're not
nice.
done.
And
She
life
squares
continues.
her shoulders and nods, determination settling on her young face. Understood, sir.
Uh-huh.
As we walk back to our repressor, stepping over shattered plasteel and spent casings, I feel that ever-present weight settle in my chest again. The weight of the duty I carry. The weight of the law. It was heavy yesterday. It's heavier today. It will only grow heavier tomorrow. But I bear it still. Another day, another battle over. No thanks, no respite. But that's all right. I don't do this for
Sort of the
gratitude or
job.
rest. It's not about thanks or peace. It's about justice.
No justice.
Brutal,
No.
unforgiving, and absolutely necessary. I cast one last look at the bleak expanse of Hive Kalitos as our transport revs up. The city's silhouette is jagged against the sickly yellow sky, countless factory plumes and hive vents spewing smoke into the toxic air. A million lights flicker across its layers like guttering candles. This hive is ungrateful, unforgiving,
Yes, it is.
a monstrosity that would devour itself if we let it. But it's my
probably
charge to
will.
keep that monstrosity in check, no matter how many days and nights of my life it takes. In the shadows of these spires, crime and heresy never sleep. And so long as I draw breath, neither will my vigilance. I climb into the repressor's driver's seat once more. Lyra closes the hatch behind us. I take a moment, eyes closed, to steady myself for what comes next. I am Arbitrator Solomon Soldevin of the Adeptus Arbites. I carry the weight of the Lex Imperialis on my shoulders. I carry the memory of those I've lost and those I've judged as both a burden and a shield. The Emperor's law is my blood, my purpose, my entire life. Engine roaring, lights flashing, we head out to answer the next call for order. This is my life on patrol.
Very nice. Anyways, you guys, that is all the time we have for tonight. I'll see you all on Friday, alright?